This is Malcolm Barrett.
And this is Julianne Emery.
And this is The Word.
All hail the Grail.
Come here, primitive, or die like a slave, riding on wings of that Jesus snake. Never lost ground to no cold-blooded man.
I'm here to tell you that your whole life can change in a moment. And this is that moment. And this is the Word.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Word, the Unofficial PREACHER Podcast, episode 10. Unbelievable. I'm your host, Steve.
Well, how do you do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sad right now. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm bummed out. This should be a joyous time right now. We should be celebrating our victory over finishing season 3.
Yes.
Steve, I'm just sitting here like a damn bump on the log, sad, man.
Oh, well, you know, it's funny. I think when we started the season wondering what in the world was going to happen, and we realized halfway through, from the first episode that, they're in their bag. So it felt good.
Yeah, it wasn't like such an effort that we had to make, you know what I mean? Like season 1 was an effort. Season 2, it was just fine. But this one's like, I don't want it to stop. I really don't. So I'm a little bit sad today, guys.
Oh, come on, Dan.
I know. You know what? Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. I'm done. Steve's going to do the show by himself today. I'm leaving.
The thing is, I think it's rough because, you got a really interesting interview this season. And it's tough because you guys aren't going to be able to go out for, tea and crumpets anymore.
Tea and crumpets?
Yeah. You and the Grail can't go out for coffee anymore because the season's over.
Tea and crumpets.
Tea and crumpets.
Here we go.
That is so funny. It's tea and crumpets, G. But yeah, man, can you believe we made it all the way through?
Yes, because I'm not ready for it to be over. So yes, I can absolutely believe that. But I cannot believe how fast it went, Seriously. Like it just went crazy, crazy fast this time. Like, time flies when you're having fun. What are you going to do?
Oh, no, it was great. And the weird thing is, I know in the beginning of the season, we all thought, well, you and I thought that it was going to be maybe 13 episodes. Remember that?
Yeah, that's what it said up until just about a couple of weeks ago, I think.
But then they said Dan's getting a little bit too excited.
Getting a little crazy, a little out of control. And guy's starting to cause some trouble and shit.
Yes. And before we start, I want to ask you a question, Dan.
What's up, my friend?
This is a serious question.
Yeah, what's up?
How did you like the season finale?
I liked it, man.
What?
I did. I'm assuming you didn't by that?
No, I'm not saying anything. I just
What? I enjoyed it, but like we were talking about before we went on, Mike, it's a little bit bittersweet for me, man, because we are saying goodbye to several people that I'm not ready to say goodbye to yet. We'll go there a little bit later, because I don't really want to approach it just yet. I'm not ready to address my grief, but that's the only thing. I wish some of these people could have stuck around. I understand that they can't because it's going to not push the story forward, but it was a bittersweet thing. There were some really, really cool like comic drops that were in there, and the final shot was the dopest shit ever. So there's a lot of good with this one.
I thought so too. I mean, my thing, when we start, you're going to hear a lot more of what in the world I'm going to be thinking, but it was bittersweet. There was one that was super bittersweet, as in like, but why? That was my thing. Like, why though?
Yeah, yes.
And
I think I have the solution to this, by the way. If that's what I think you're talking about. I think we're okay in that one. I'm hoping.
You think so?
I'm hoping, man. We better be, because it's.
I have a feeling if it's the solution that you referred to, I think it's a long shot. But we'll see.
I really think that could, okay, you know what? Because that's going to lead us off on this whole other thing. And that's so far towards the end. We'll wait on that. But I do have some theories of how this could all get worked out. Everything smoothed over, certain problems solved, and I think we're okay.
Dan, for our sake, I really hope you're right. I really hope you're right. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind if two of the people that kind of got taken from this mortal coil is back. I hope that there's a way that both of them could live.
One of them, I'm not so sure. I was really thinking about it, man. Like, you didn't see him go. You know what I mean? You didn't. You kind of assumed that was the case.
Oh, that's a third. I was thinking about another person.
Another one.
You'll see.
Okay, not Icarius though, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm over that cat.
Yes. Yeah, I was done with him. Because I know, here's what I do know. I know that a lot of our listeners believe that, they're like, oh, man, I sure wish this person didn't go. I wish I could tell them, oh, wait. The contact information, they won't be able to get a hold of us anymore, Dan. Should we even do it anymore?
I don't know.
Should we just stop the show right now? Should we just
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to. Let's just start over tomorrow. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this.
We'll carry it on. We'll do a scene per episode and just keep these shows going.
Exactly. There it is. And we'll charge you guys for them too. We'll charge everybody on Patreon.
Yeah,
just to make it even
perfect.
Just to make it even more, accessible.
We're going to do this just as a last goodbye. Dan is going to do the contact information one more time. Please don't be sad if he starts tearing up and he plays The Moon in New York City. Don't do it. Just check it out.
Hey, man, I didn't have that one queued up. I don't have the Christopher. I don't have the Christopher Cross, but I do have a... Nah, I'm just going to go with the old school, man, because you know what? It's time to cheer my ass up. Are you ready, sir?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. All right, guys, I'm a little sad. I'm going to fake this one, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finale of the Word, the Unofficial, the finale of the Word, the Unofficial Preacher Podcast. Guys, check this out. If you want to get a hold of the show, you still can. I'll check the emails out, but I'm going to go ahead and skip the regular Ask the Word Podcast at gmail.com one. You can go ahead and send it there. I'll see it. Don't worry about it. But I'm going to go ahead and reroute you guys now because we're not done. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm over here acting like we're just going away forever. We're not done, all right? Let's talk about that for just a little second. We got a show called the Heroes of Noise Podcast, and that's going to be coming back out next week, if I'm correct, sir. Am I correct about that?
You are.
All right, good. So, hit us up at heroesofnoise.com. That is www.heroesofnoise.com. While you're there, subscribe to the show. Subscribe to this one if you haven't yet, because we're coming back next year. Guaranteed. I'm not even worried that there's going to be a season 4. It's in the bag. Guaranteed. Anyway, that's about it for it right now. I'm going to go a little more mellow on this one, dude, because we have a whole show to do, right? And also, we're going to fucking be back next week. I'm making a big deal out of this here. Heroesofnoise.com.
Here's the thing. Any of the questions that you have for this season of Preacher, we will address on Heroes of Noise. So if you do send it to us and you put the Preacher in the title or the subject title, we will address it next week.
There you go. That's it right there. Steve's got all the problems solved right there.
You're welcome.
This was a good day, man. I'm happy that we did this.
They call me problem solver.
That's my man right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to the handsome, the humble, the magical Steve Hudson. Steve Hudson, go ahead and start talking because I said your name twice.
I know what you're thinking, ladies and gentlemen. You're thinking, okay, if I do send a voicemail, if I do send an email, what am I going to sound like or what am I going to read like? There's only one way to tell how you're going to sound. And that's by A, sending a voicemail, or B, listening to how a voicemail sounds on our end. But Dan, do we have a voicemail this year? Week? Month? Weekend?
This millennium? Yes, we do. We have the wonderful Johnny. Johnny came back. Johnny came through. Now, guys,
come on.
I asked you guys to write in, and no guilt, because, what are you going to say? Like, we already talked, right? We already talked about the last show. I was maybe hoping that you'd send us a little something, but I understand y'all are busy. However, Mr. Johnny Bucks came through with the finale voicemail. So this is the last finale, this is the last voicemail you're going to hear on the Word. But don't worry, like I said, this show is not stopping. It's just changing form. That's all. We're just transforming into the Heroes of Noise, and you're going to love it. I assure you. But anyway, let me stop flapping my lips because Johnny was so nice to flap his. Here we go. By the way, little side note, he's recording this in his car on a very rainy night. So just to kind of put that in there.
Oh, lucky it's raining out there.
Right? When's the last time we saw that?
Never, except to, we don't get rain in Fresno.
Johnny Bucks, talk to us. Here we go.
Hello, chaps. Just a quick voicemail just to say Congratulations and thanks for the fantastic coverage of season 3 of Preacher. I think it's been the best season yet of the show. It feels very NSE, and it's been highly enjoyable. Even where they veered from the comic book story, they've kind of made it as NSE, as much like the book as the bits that are from the book, if you see what I mean. Yeah, it's been good. Hopefully we're going to get a season 4, 5, 6, all the way through to the end of the story. Always optimistic. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. It's been as enjoyable listening to your show as it has been watching the episodes themselves. So keep up the great work. I look forward to some more Heroes of Noise soon, and hopefully speak to you soon, guys. All right, take care. Cheers. Bye.
Johnny Bucks!
Johnny Bucks, who is the co-host of his own podcast called Foom.
FOOM! Exclamation point. Guys, you can download that one too. You know what I think I'm going to do, Steve?
So it's kind of like Foom at the disco with the exclamation point.
Wow. Bruh.
You know, here's the funny part. I didn't know who those people were until you started going to the concerts. I didn't even know there was a group called that.
I like them.
Oh, no. Now I feel like, but now I feel like I'm in the in crowd because I know that they exist.
You're welcome. There's cake. There's tea and crumpets, apparently.
Oh, that's funny. But
Johnny,
yes,
thank you, man,
Johnny's
for doing
always
that.
Killing.
Hey, you know what I was going to say, though, is I'm thinking about doing this. We could talk about this off mic, but what the hell? I think I'm going to put a little link up to all of our cohorts. If you guys have podcasts and you listen to our show, email me, okay? I got this idea. I'm not going to say what it is exactly yet, but if you have a podcast and you listen to us and you enjoy Heroes of Noise, those are the only stipulations.
Criteria?
Yeah, criteria. Thank you. Please email me because I got a little something I'm thinking of, okay?
But there is a stipulation. I will get one more.
Which is?
You must be a cohort.
You have to be a fucking cohort, okay?
If you're not a cohort, I don't know. We can't take your email.
Can they be comrades?
Make sure. No
comrades.
Cohorts.
All right.
Cohorts.
You
so
heard
make
it
sure
first.
you let us know, hey, this is a loyal cohort, because otherwise we don't know what you're talking about.
I think I'm being mocked, ladies and gentlemen, yet again.
Because I'm agreeing with you?
I don't know. I guess you like my choice of words sometimes.
It was interesting.
What was the last one? I forgot what it was last week, but it was a good one. You got me. I had no defense. You got me.
It was like all of our, do we have any cohorts? It's true. Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'm going to say this again.
Say it.
I want to be able to support anybody that's going to put a mic in their face and sending out to, the public as much as possible. So yes, if you do have a podcast, please send it in because we would love to listen to a funny podcast. B, if you're in, okay, this is so off topic, but if you are in if you have friends that do podcasts, definitely reach out and support each other because we're all we got. We are all we got. Mostly, you're not going to get a bunch of, I can't even know. I was about to say Nerdist, but you might not want their help right now. But you're not going to get a lot of help from major network. All we have is us. So all we can do is support each other. So someone tells you about their podcast, give it a listen. Check it out.
Spread the word. Is it still in fashion, Steve, to do a Follow Friday?
It is, actually.
Is it? Okay, because I think that's something that we should be doing. We should be doing Follow Fridays for all of our fellow podcasts.
Oh, definitely. Dude, see, Dan, that's why you're Dan, because you come up with these awesome ideas.
Thanks, man. You're cheering up my sadness just a little bit today.
Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear how down Dan is? Yeah. Like, this is a very different Dan today. He is really sad to be leaving the show. And I'm not going to say that. What I will say is, considering the beginning of the season, I am shocked that he's like this.
All like not charged to me? I'm totally charged. Here's the deal.
You are charged, but there's a tinge of sadness there.
Can I pull a layer back and from the behind the scenes and let him know why I'm feeling sad?
I would have said curtain, but yes.
What did I say?
Layer.
You know what, Mr. Wordsmith? Fucking sound effects galore today, buddy. That's all I'm going to tell you. You're right.
Can we pull a layer back?
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just ate an onion. Leave me alone. So anyway, check it out. Here's the real reason. Because Steve's schedule and my schedule have changed over the last week or so, or last 2 weeks. We've sort of been forced to pre-record the shows. Now that's fine. We've seen it. We can comment on it, and you're still kind of getting the same thing. It's just that I was really looking forward to getting the emails about what you guys think about this. So do me a favor, send them in anyway. Okay, I think I will read them on Heroes, or maybe we'll just do like an all mail, not all mail as in Sausage Fest, but like an all-mail short of the show. We can just read your mails and respond and say goodbye one last time. Maybe not. I don't know, but send them in. We're going to use them.
For sure.
Yeah, that's really it, dude. Now that I've said that, I think I'm going to feel better soon.
I don't know. You seem kind of sad.
I know, I do. I'm sorry, man.
You do. And it's good because it makes other people that are listening be like, yeah, I am going to miss the show. Of course they're going to miss the show, G.
It's stupid, but I am a little bit bummed out. I like this show. I love Heroes of Noise, but I like Talking Preacher a lot. So,
you like Talking Preacher now? So you're a huge Hardwick fan?
You're a huge Hardwick.
I'm just saying. You said you love Talking Preacher is what I'm saying.
Oh man, this is gonna be a long
All
one.
I'm saying is that's what you said.
I did say that. You are pulling out things that I'm actually saying, and you're making me feel a little bit insecure right now, Hudson. I'm just saying.
Oh no! You know what? These are one of those days that I wish I had my soundboard.
Go out and buy one, man. I'm
gonna have to. Or maybe
fun.
I could just get one of those pull flutes and not even get a soundboard. Just use that pull flute thing. Yeah, that's it.
Here we go again.
Every time I get a zinger, I'll be like, "Shoo!"
I've used no sound effects yet, except for...
I know, bruh. I never said that you did. All I'm saying is that if I had my own joint over here, I'd be able to do some damage.
You should, man. You have no excuse. This guy's a single man. He has a good job. He could totally go out and hook up a soundboard. But does he? No.
I think I need an iPad to make it legit.
Well, we could talk about the logistics and specifics of it, but you're pretty much already set and ready to go. I can get you hooked up.
Look at this. Look at Dan the man already. The dude already knows all of his sound engineering now. Look at Dan.
I'm getting there. I'm getting better.
No, you're doing your thing, man. You're a professional. And I like your shirt.
Oh, are you watching right now? I'm not watching Steve. He's watching me. It's kind of creepy. It's a little bit,
weird.
It's a little bit weird. But you like that Foo Fighters shirt, huh?
It is dope. The Fighters of the Foo.
Hey guys, before we start the breakdown, let me give one more extension out to you guys. Some of you guys out there may be wanting to start a podcast. We're getting back to that again. And if you are, and you don't really know how to get started, let me or Steve offer our knowledge. We don't have a lot of it, but we have enough to kind of get you going. And we've helped people out before. Please, if you guys have any questions and you ever want to know how do you do this or what do you use or anything, I have all the time in the world to answer those kind of questions. So, and I'd be happy to do so because I do believe, like Steve said, that we are all we have. So I kind of want to come from this like a support group kind of thing. And as we go into the Heroes of Noise phase, seriously, hit us up. If you guys want to do a show, if you ever want to if you like the show, you're a regular listener, maybe you want to come on sometime or something, get a little dip your toe in the water or something just to see if you like that kind of shit, hit us up.
That is really dope. And I'm not going to even add anything to that. We're just going to go directly into Dan's part, which is the breakdown.
Oh, we already arrived, huh? Okay. All right, cool.
We did. I know. I looked and I was scrolling down. I was like, oh, snap. Read the breakdown?
It's the lack of the voicemails and stuff, I think. It's making it go fast. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then I guess it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the breakdown. We just got there quicker than normal, but I'm ready to do this. Are you? I'm listening.
Let's go.
All right, let's do this, man. Let's do it. So, guys, this one is Season 3, Episode 10, the finale episode entitled The Light Above. Now, Steve and I were actually trying to see who wrote this one, and on IMDb, it's only showing Seth, Evan, and Sam Catlin, right? Yeah, I always forget his name. So I don't know if there is someone else that wrote this one, but if they did, hell of a job. And we'll go ahead and start. This opener this time is kind of a cool one. I liked it. We have young Jesse Custer, sitting at the foot of his bed, and he's praying. He's kneeling at the foot of his bed, actually. He's got his shirt off. And we see this Angelville tattoo that we've seen before, but we see it on him this time. So obviously that was there for like a branding kind of a thing, Steve. Wouldn't you imagine so?
I would have to imagine.
Yeah, it was a little bit fucked up when you think about it. You know what I mean? Like they just probably held him down and did that to him. You know he didn't want it. But anyway, he's over there and he's praying. And just in front of him is a baseball bat. We're going to get to that in just a second. So anyway, Jesse puts his shirt on and he leaves his bat behind on the bed. He leaves the room. And then the camera pans and we see that God has been there the entire time watching this cat. Watching and listening. He did say that he's had his eye on him for a while, as did Satan. But again, we'll get to that in just a second. From there, Jesse goes to his much younger grandma. She's kind of, she's looking pretty fly, man. She's all like, her skin's all toned up and stuff, and she's sitting at the table. Kitchen still looks the same. She hasn't changed shit in like decades, but she's counting money. She's counting all the profits from last night. I'm not exactly sure if that was the tombs or what they were counting the profits for.
It could have been either from the tombs or remember they do that thing where
the spell casting.
Yeah, but I don't know. Do they? Oh yeah, the spell casting, because that's where he has to go and get the money back from the people. So that might be it too.
Yeah, she said something though that maybe this will bring it to light right here. Jesse comments on the full house that they had the night before, and that's when Grandma tells him that tomorrow night's going to be the same way, and she says it's because it's Lent.
Oh, it's definitely because of the spell casting. Though.
So is that what it is? Oh, because they gotta they have to stop drinking or whatever, so they're just having they're cheating essentially.
A little bit. That would be a cheating thing.
There's no willpower there, man.
Do you know anything about Lent?
Got some on my shirt.
Wow, people, I'm sure that's somehow blasphemous. I'm not sure how, but it has to be blasphemous.
It's a Catholic thing, right? Is it just a Catholic thing, or is it like all the way across the board? So no, I could tell you that I'm not very educated.
Yes, I do not know.
Oh, you were like legitimately. I was legitimately asking me if I like.
Yes,
or if I knew about it. No, I don't know a damn thing. Nothing.
Okay, cool. Wait a minute. Was this episode an hour and a half?
Well, I can tell you that it clocks in at like 50. It's like 58 minutes or something like that. So I assume like the other ones are around 40 something if you watch them on the screener site. So I'm, when you put all the commercials in, I would guess they're going to do a 90-minute show tonight.
Okay.
Wait, cool. I already told you we're pre-recording, right? Just covering it, making sure.
Cool.
Okay. Jesse tells his grandma that he's thinking of taking off for a while, Steve. He needs a little vacation, but she doesn't know exactly the extent of what he's talking about. So she tells him there's no law against movie seeing, and she tells him she asks him. Does she ask him? Nah, she kind of tells him actually. She says, bring me that whiskey. And Jesse just, reflexively hands her the whiskey, and he takes it one step further by telling her that he's thinking about going someplace far. And it's her, she kind of like, she makes that look like, oh, really? And she's like, I'm listening. And Jesse tells her about this girl that he used to know that's back in Texas, and he wants to go and check on her. And he lets her know that he's going to do this, but he will come back someday. And Grandma says, listen to me, you someday piece of shit. And like she was hitting him hard right there. Like you could see Grandma's just like a hair trigger.
Yes.
She tells him that they're all they have left, essentially. She's all that he has left. She's all the family that he has. And Jesse says it's because she killed the rest of them. And I was like, oh, snap, Jesse. You just,
dang.
I know, just didn't even pull a punch.
Kind of did.
Kind of did, though. You're right.
Mom and his dad.
Doing little Jesse dirty, man.
Yes.
She doesn't even deny it. Matter of fact, she tells him, she says that I had your daddy killed. I think she said, I had your daddy shot, Jesse. And then she killed her mom herself, Steve. We saw this. Slicing her open with a small blade and sucking out her soul.
Yes.
Let me ask you something about that. I don't know if I should save all this stuff for like what's going to happen in season 4 part of the show, but do you think that's what happened? Like, do you think she's really dead? Because, well, guys, there's a spoiler in the comic. I don't know if I really want to talk about it now as I'm thinking out loud, but there is something that comes up later on in the comic where, fuck it, she makes an appearance, guys. She comes back. So do you think that's the case?
No, because we don't see a body. We don't see a body buried.
Yeah, and that's the preacher way. So getting back to what we were talking about earlier, there's a couple bodies I didn't see completely. You know what I mean?
Brother. Okay, yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, all right. But anyway, she's punking him. She's calling him out on the fact that Jesse didn't even wreak revenge on her. And she's just standing there like a little girl bringing him the whiskey, like just punking him, just emasculating him. You know what I mean? And she tells him that he thinks like a custer. If you think that if you do just enough right and not too much wrong, that there's still hope for you. She says it's because he's afraid of hell and that she doesn't blame him. And then she walks out of the room. Like, I can't blame you. You are afraid of hell. That's a pretty good thing to be afraid of. That makes sense to me.
And there was also a little bit of a something there. You're afraid of hell. I don't blame you. Why would she not blame? Because she's like, I've seen hell. You should be scared of it.
She had sex with the devil. She has seen hell.
She didn't have no sex with no devil.
Yes, she did.
Really?
Yeah, man. I was talking about that last week. There's a Q&A that they have. And matter of fact, she says something later on in the show. But she says it very classy. She goes, my gentleman caller. Like, a Southern belle.
Oh, but I'm saying, so you're talking about the history that she made up.
Well, I don't think that Betty Buckley made it up. It's just something that's like backstory that they have in there. But she says in the show, my gentleman caller, Satan. To me, that's like sex, right? Like that's someone you're having sex with, right?
I think it's a backstory, but I'm saying, so in the lore of the TV show, she has slept with Satan.
Correct.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's how they got this deal. She must have been all right back in the day. He gave her a deal. Like, you know, you need to live like 100 years.
That
girl.
is that is ill.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's new news to me.
It changes things a little bit, but that's okay.
Yes, it does. But yes. And so even more so, she's like, yeah, hell is something to be feared, which should strike the fear into, I don't think Jesse knows that she's been to hell yet. He just knows like, whatever, she's being crazy again.
Yeah. Grandma's just talking crazy.
Yeah. He doesn't know. Oh no, I know you should be scared.
So she walks out of the room and then the scene changes to night. And Jesse's still in the kitchen, Steve. He's got whiskey in front of him. And he's just sitting there and he's like stewing. You ever been like that? Are you just stewing about something?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't drink whiskey, but I've stewed. I've stewed a lot.
No, I remember. Yeah, well, I think we've all stewed. I think we've all had a situation where our parents are trying to like punish us or they get real mad. We're in the room being like, I can't wait till I leave up this place. Watch when I leave though. When I go to college, I'm going to be out. Never going to talk to them again and they're going to miss me. Yeah, we stewed.
I don't need you.
Exactly.
I need your money, but I don't need you.
I just need you to pay my bills and put food on the table and clothes on my back and a roof over my head. But other than that, I'm out. And that's all I need. And I'm gone.
And this ashtray. Then about 5 minutes later, Mom!
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, shit. That is the truth, too, man.
That's funny.
Jesse's drinking his liquid courage, man, the whiskey, and he's sitting at the table. Then the camera angle turns, and as it turns, we see that now it's not God that's sitting there watching him, but it's Satan, who's been sitting there probably the whole time and probably putting these thoughts into his head. Which thoughts, you ask? I'm about to explain that. So it's 3 a.m. Jesse gets up and he goes into Grandma's parlor and he's getting ready to beat her to death with a freaking bat. Remember the bat? Told you I'd come back to it.
That is crazy.
That would be vicious, man.
But I know he didn't do it, and I still was shocked. I thought it was such a well done scene.
That's always just been a very like bothersome thing to me too, by the way. Not to really go off on a tangent. Well, yeah, that would be a very like an inconvenience to me.
Yes.
It's a bit of a bugaboo of mine. But no, I'm just talking about like to be the one that is like bludgeoning someone. That's got to be rough. There's a lot of bludgeoning and crushing in this episode.
There is a lot. Bludgeoning is a heck of a way to do things.
Blunt objects are a bitch if they hit you.
Yes.
Little free advice from Dan Ramirez.
I was bludgeoned.
What?
Yeah.
You got bludgeoned?
Uh-huh.
When did you get bludgeoned? You gonna tell us a story right now?
Bludgeoned is a strong word.
Okay. All right.
But I was attacked by a bunch of children with Nerf bats.
Oh, come on. That's
a bludgeoning. That is a bludgeoning.
That story went so south. I was so excited. I mean, I'm glad you're okay, of course. But
it was at Chuck E. Cheese, and I was attacked by bats. Like,
who were these
Nerf
kids?
Bats.
Were you just there?
At a birthday party.
But you weren't invited though, huh? You were just like cruising.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that's why they got the. Yeah, that's why they got the. That's what she said.
But it was interesting having so many kids. It was almost like I'm like, wow, this could be. Imagine they were metal bats, and imagine they were grown people, and imagine this Chuck E. Cheese was an alley. It was like I was there.
Yeah, you just had to project yourself.
Yes.
To get the achieved effect.
Exactly.
All right. Exactly. Well, I'm glad you made it out okay. So
I was bludgeoned.
I got hit with a softball one time. That sucked.
Were you really?
Yeah, man.
Where?
Right in the face.
That's why I don't understand why people. Were you hit? Were you the pitcher?
No, man. Sorry, guys. It's gonna be one of those days. This was my sophomore year in high school.
And I was with the sweet mullet.
Yes, I had the mullet. I was probably wearing a Slayer shirt or something like that. I probably had a pack of Marlboro Reds in my pocket during PE.
Oh my God.
But, I wasn't the most athletically inclined kid, and I didn't go to PE ever because all the athletically inclined kids were all bullies at the time. So I stayed away. Anyway, one day I'm in there and we're playing softball, and I was just like not even paying attention, and I walked right into some dude throwing the freaking pitch, and pow.
Oh.
It was just, so let's start off by saying that it was my fault, right? My fault. I wasn't paying attention. Totally my fault. However, dude starts laughing really hard. And then everyone starts laughing really hard. So young Dan Ramirez was like, was I a freshman? I think I was a freshman now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I was a freshman. And I was like, fuck you. And it turned into a fist fight, Steve. So, yeah, it was like one of those say it to my face things. And then he told me I'm going to have some beef with you after class. His name was Jack. He was a prick. And not that I'm harboring.
Yeah. No, of course not. No, never that. Never that.
I'm not holding on to old things.
No.
So we start walking back to PE, and I'm like, keep turning around because I think this guy's gonna like run up and jump me, right? Because he's that kind of a dude. And he didn't, of course. So then I just like hopped to it, like right when we got into the locker room. I just hopped to it. I was gonna throw the first punch, and then we threw down right there, and then we both got suspended.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I could tell this story, the more detailed version, but that's really the meat and potatoes of it. Is that we both got in a fight. I may or may not have hit his head into the locker a couple of times, and
wow,
he may have gotten some good wins. He got good ones in on me too, and I think we would have beat. I think we would have probably tried to kill each other. To be honest with you, if the
what did you think had happened when something slapped the side of your face? What did you think it was before you realized it was a softball?
I think it was only comparable to a softball hitting me in the face because I'm standing in a diamond. I'm right in front.
Why would you do that?
I'm right in front. I don't know. Actually, I don't even think. You know what it was? No. Okay. I'm sorry. This makes more sense. You're absolutely right. Like, why would I do that? Like, I just hey, you guys,
right
do you know where the library is?
Exactly.
No,
Oops.
No, it was like something I think where everyone was just kind of standing around, and I was walking to the dugout part, and Jack the prick just threw it at somebody. And I just, you know what I'm saying? Like he was just throwing it to his buddy, but I didn't know that he was throwing it to his buddy.
Yes.
And that's how it happened.
Oh.
Yeah. It's all coming back to me now. I'm starting to shake.
Dude, I mean, getting hit with a softball would be a beast. I'd be pretty mad. So we've both been bludgeoned. Yes. Crazy how we can relate to this story so easily.
Isn't it? Except yours is with children and Nerf bats and mine's with the softball. Huh. Could have been a hardball.
We are one.
Simpatico.
I like it.
So getting back to Grandma's parlor, again, 3 a.m., Jesse's standing over her, and she opens her eyes because I bring up 3 a.m. because the clock chimes, and it wakes her up, and she sees him standing over her with that bat raise. And she kind of hits him with that classic grandma guilt about, killing her and if he kills her, he's going to get cast to the flames. And what would his daddy think and everything? And this absolutely works on him. Jesse just lets out this frustrated scream, and it just makes her chuckle, which is really fucked up. And he tells her, he's like, I'm going away. She's like, yeah, go. And she tells him, yeah, you'll be back. And you know what? He came back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about that. He absolutely did. So then we see Jesse walking down the pathway from Angelville. And this is kind of like a cool shot. At least I thought it was, because it was like, whenever they go back in the past, it's always like a little more gray. There might be color in there, but it's what would you call that, Steve? Like sepia or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. Kind of black and white, but not quite black and white. So he's walking one way, and then we see older Jesse, today's Jesse, walking towards Angelville because he came back. I just told you that, right? And it was just really cool how they the colors changed. And then older Jesse says, you should have killed her. Younger Jesse says, yeah, well, now's your chance. And we get our intro.
So good. And the what was I going to say? You're saying are we to assume that Grandma wakes up every hour on the hour?
Maybe she's just a really light sleeper. So 7 times a night, she's go bling and she'll wake up. Old people got to pee a lot, dude.
This is true.
Maybe that's what it is. It's a pee thing. Because, the catheter came later. Never mind.
Yeah, because when she woke up with the chime, I was like, wait, do you do that every hour?
Yeah, because she's maybe she does, man. I don't know. But I think it's just because old people got to pee. That's really what.
Or paranoid.
Maybe. I mean, Satan's coming for your ass at some point. You don't know exactly when.
Probably think people are waiting over you with a bat, so you want to be ready.
Can you blame her?
It worked out. So right? She was right.
She's like, yeah, this is a good thing that I wake up like this because Jesse's trying to kill me.
Exactly. She's like, don't wake up every hour, they told me. No one trying to kill you with a bat, they told me. Ha ha! I showed everyone.
That'll teach you.
Exactly. That's funny.
So Jesse makes his way all the way up to the Angelville plantation, up to the house, and he walks in, Steve, and he doesn't get very far before he hears a click. Maybe it's not a click, Steve, but more of like a chick kind of sound. And there, on the side, the screen splits, and we see TC. And TC tells him, he says, sorry, little Jesse, you're going to have to raise them hands. Now I know she puts you through your paces, but that's your grandma. And Jesse tells TC to give him the gun. And TC... that's the thing about this TC. He always has some really good shit to say. He tells him that I believe there can be a constructive non-violent solution. And this is where Jesse uses the word on him and tells him, give me the gun. The gun flies from his hands and into Jesse's, and TC's jaw just drops back. He's like in shock about this. Jesse looks at him again and says, back up. And TC gets forced back against the refrigerator. You ever notice in this show that there's always something going on with the refrigerator? Last year it was the bullet and Saint Achilles. Now it's just being used as a barrier. What the hell?
Affirmative.
And they're always talking about like circuit works and shit. They must be getting some kind of deal through this here where they do product placement. It was probably a Whirlpool, I bet. Or Kenmore. Maybe it was a Kenmore. Right. I think it was a Kenmore. It looked like a Kenmore. They're great refrigerators, Steve. They have great ice.
Okay, I believe ice is simply frozen water. So you mean they have great water in the beginning?
They have good crushing ice.
Oh, you know I have a GE.
How's your ice?
Very good.
Yeah, you got cubes. You got what do you got?
I got cubes. I got crushed.
You got cubes and crushed.
Yes.
Oh, you do got that.
And then I
ice.
also have the liquid sort.
You have ice in liquid form?
Yes.
Someone's going to come up with a fancy name for that one day.
I know. That's what I'm going to say from now on. When someone's like, how do you like your fridge? I'm going to be like, I get 3 forms of ice. Like, what?
I'm going to marry that son of a bitch one of these days.
That's dope.
So now that TC's forced back against this refrigerator, Jesse starts walking up on him and he's like, how many times do you think you pointed this gun at me? And TC tells him, you don't hate me that much. You wouldn't shoot me. And then Jesse agrees with him and he hands him back the gun and he's like, see, a non-violent salute. And Jesse says, shoot yourself. TC shoots himself right in the foot and screams.
Here's my question.
Yes, sir.
How did he know he was going to shoot him in the foot? Shoot himself in the foot? What if he pointed the gun to his head?
I was thinking that's the way it was going to go. But luckily, it's like I think that the word is a very literal thing.
Wherever it's pointing, he'll shoot.
Right. Yeah. It's just very literal. So.
Okay. That's fair.
As Jesse's about to enter Grandma's room, he hears, hey, kid, you're going to have to go through me first. And he sees Jody has returned, unharmed, Steve, with the briefcase of souls. Now, we need to talk about this for a second because we have to admit, I'm going to admit that I was wrong. I was really, really thinking that I was going to be right about this one, but it wasn't even that major of a deal. I don't really know why they had Jody break down in the first place.
Exactly.
Because I really thought that they were going to come back to that. And if you remember last week, was that my theory was that it was struck by a goat cannon because they had that animal that they didn't know what it was and it was just somehow lodged into his truck. They didn't go back to it. So I was wrong. I've been wrong a lot this season.
I like your theory way better, though. Here's the thing. Maybe he was hit with a goat cannon. They did attack him. He killed them all, and he's just making it back home.
Just another day. Why I got to tell you about it a little.
Exactly.
Jesse.
That's what happened. And I'm sticking to it.
So Jesse tells Jody, I like that idea, and has him put down the briefcase by using the word. He tells him, I could make you cut your own throat if I wanted to. And Jody says, but you wouldn't. And Jesse says, no, let's go to the tombs. And he says, hope for you yet, boy. I don't know why I like the way he talks like that. I'm proud of you, boy.
Here's the thing. I love when he uses the word Jody is not tripping. At first he's like, oh, what's that? He kind of looks like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But he's not afraid.
And he's never heard it before.
Nothing freaks Jody out.
Yeah, nothing phases that dude at all. You're right. No, yeah, because he didn't even, it was just kind of like, that sounded funny. But he didn't really give it like, what did you just do to me? Or anything like
exactly.
that.
He was like, that's a new thing he has. But it's not a thing that it's just like, I guess I can't beat him anymore. He's still like, I am still going to hurt you.
That's a cool trick. Going to sound funny coming out of your busted jaw.
Exactly.
So now we switch it up with the famous preacher switch, Steve, and we are back at the bus crash site. And this is where Tulip wakes up and everything's a little bit foggy and she sees this Nazi tank that's outside, your favorite part of the whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone's laying in different directions because remember, they just did this big roll thing. So we got Eugene over here, Angel of Death over there, Saint Achilles over here, you get the point. Hitler's over there. And Saint Achilles and Angel of Death get to their feet at the same time. They go and address these Nazis. The Nazis come out from behind the tank and they all run out and there's like this silly kind of music in the background. And did you notice that one of them had a Make America Great hat on?
Shocker.
Yeah, real shocker, right? I liked it, though. I liked that they did that.
Well, I love Ian Coletti sent out a tweet. Did you see his tweet?
Yeah, the one that he did earlier today?
Yes. And I was like, and it showed the Make America Great Again hat. And he's like, there's this, and there's Nazis. And the only thing you see is the Make America Great Again hat. I thought, I see what you did there.
Oh yeah, it was totally appropriate for them to do.
Oh, totally.
Rick gets out of and introduces himself as SS Reich Marshal Rick Smith, and he demands that they let Hilter, quote unquote, go, and no one will get hurt. But if they resist, of course, that they're going to get liquidated. Angel of Death asks him, if you're SS, why are you wearing a Luftwaffe medal? And Rick tells her that they're mixed auxiliary unit, which was a very good bullshit thing of saying at that time. And he says, the point is, I have a tank and you don't, and you better release our Fuhrer or you're going to get cut down. And he asks them what their answer is. I like this part because I was thinking we were going to get like a buddy team up thing, and we kind of did for a second.
We did, yeah.
We did, but, it went awry.
They looked to each other and said, we both want the same thing. Let's just
kick some ass.
Now, here's what... Oh, well, I'll wait because it doesn't happen yet. Go ahead.
Oh, there's a certain part, you mean, that doesn't happen? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
There's a certain part that I didn't like.
Okay. Well, yeah, Angel of Death and Saint of Killers are just putting a whip ass on these guys, and shit's just flying everywhere. But you see more of that later, because inside the bus, we're back there, and Hilter's trying to make his escape. But Eugene's like using his muscle now. He's a big kid. He's growing up, and he's holding him back, and he's doing a pretty good job of keeping him reined in. This Nazi trooper climbs into the bus and whips out this baton. He flicks out the baton, and Tulip, always the resourceful one, of course, looks around and sees that there's a windshield wiper that's stuck in the driver of the hell bus, and she rips that out, and it's like en garde, and they start having like a fight. Silly. So good. It was silly but good. It was actually a little bit of both. She's like, "Yo, Nazi, let's go," and fights the trooper. Outside now, getting back to these guys, these crazy characters, Saint of Killers and I just blanked on her name, Sydney, the Angel of Death, are still kicking ass, and the Saint of Killers now has a machine gun. I like this part.
Okay, we're on opposite sides. I hate Saint of Killers with a machine gun.
Oh, I mean, I didn't take it like, now I've got this and this is better. He just needed to put bullets in them, and what's he going to use? He could have just gone at him and ripped their heads off.
That's what I wanted to see, because he's the Saint. With that he was all like bent down knees, and he was doing the Rambo thing, and I was like, ugh, I don't like this.
He did a couple of things in this scene that surprised me. Like, I didn't know he could do a certain thing that he did, but I didn't mind it as much as you did.
Okay.
Maybe you're just a little bitter.
I actively disliked it. When I saw him with the machine gun, he looked normal then. He looked totally normal, and Saint of Killers never looks normal. Oh,
you mean he looked mortal?
Totally mortal.
Okay, so it just sort of ruined the illusion for you.
Yeah, because why does Saint of Killers have to brace the butt of the gun against himself?
I guess he could have just pointed it or whatever.
Totally. He's strong enough to be like, a recoil doesn't affect Saint. He don't have to get in a stance to shoot this gun, and now he is, making him look totally human.
Well, you would know, Steve. You are the NRA specialist.
And I super am not. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to put that out there. I do not believe in guns. Not saying that I don't believe they exist, because they must, but I do not like people having guns. But I do know one thing. However a gun is supposed to be held is not the way Saint of Killers should hold a gun. You should know, if you're like, okay, hold it like this so you don't get the recoil. That is not a thing Saint of Killers should be worried about.
Steve not believing in guns. I can see you like some alleyway. Listen, motherfucker, give me your money or I'm going to put a bullet in your head. You're like, no, you won't. Because that, sir, is not a gun.
You aren't going to have a gun because I don't know what those are and they don't exist. Next thing you know, you're going to tell me you're going to get me with your UFO. You silly goose. And I get shot. But I think for Saint of Killers, number one, how does he know how to shoot a machine gun? He has never, he was around before that. That's why I'm just like, oh, there's so many things wrong in this scene. Because look at Homegirl. She could have gotten a gun and started shooting people. She's like, I'm going to do what I'm good at, and that is whipping people's heads off.
Yeah, you're that's awesome.
You're going to do what you're good at, which is shooting people with a machine gun. Really? That's not what he does. He should have walked in there, because what is he keeping his distance for?
Okay, I got something for you.
Go.
Can I sort of just take that whole illusion off of it? Maybe this is just a budget thing. You know what I'm saying?
Totally fair.
It's just a budget thing. He has to do something. If he walks into the cloud where you really couldn't see anybody anyway, now you can't see what he's doing.
That's true.
Which takes away from what she's doing, because why didn't she just walk into the cloud? I think this is just a budget thing, and I think you need to just get over it and man up and move along.
Nope.
Just kidding.
Not a chance. That was unfortunate. But I'm very eager to hear what the listeners think. Please email us. It's going to be Heroes of Noise.
Yeah, either one. Yeah. Ask the word podcast at gmail.com or heroes of noise podcast at gmail.com. Either one will work.
I think, tell me how ill this scene was, because look, Santa Killers does a lot of things. Shooting a machine gun ain't one of them.
I'm going to give it to you that it was definitely weird seeing him shoot a machine gun.
And he could have, because the thing is, the reason that you try to keep a distance is because you don't want, oh crap, let's keep our distance because I don't want him to shoot me with a machine gun or shoot me with a gun. But since that does not affect him, he could literally just walk into the fray and kill everybody by his hand.
I'm calling budget issue. I think that's what it is.
Fair. And if that's what it is, perfecto.
But you didn't like the fact that they were standing there and the Angel of Death is like literally ripping human parts from the...
Love that.
Just random.
That.
Just throwing it. That was cool. I like that.
Loved her part, yes. Saint, not so much.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes. And I'm also a little confused that I'm confused at another part of this, and I'll wait till you get there. But there's another confusion. I'm like, okay, how did it turn that way? What just happened?
We're not there yet, so you don't want to talk about this yet? Okay.
Yeah, we're there in 2 minutes.
So while all this is going on, Tulip has managed to actually slit one of the Nazis' throat with his own knife because he's Tulip. She puts a bullet through another two with the Luger that she stole off the guy that she slit the throat from. That is some G shit that she did right there. And she looks at the gun and she's all, Luger. The battle's died down for the most part outside, and Angel of Death brings up the crow. And see, now, this is what I was talking about. Like, they were actually on to something here. They were working together, and I don't really know why Sydney decided just to start punking him right there. Was there really a reason for it? Am I reading that correctly?
That is literally what I was going to say. I don't understand.
It didn't really fit in with it.
Not at all.
Again, a super small criticism. When in the big scheme of things, I don't really give a shit. But if we're talking about it, I don't know where that came from. They were doing so well together, and she decided at that point in time she was going to start talking about how if the crows ate if the crows ate the Saint's daughter's eyes while she was alive or after she was dead. And she's totally doing it to mock it.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm going to assume that maybe there was a scene that they cut. But the thing is, here's the thing. If she goes left on him and he can't really hurt her and it shows how strong she is, then I totally get it. Because I'm like, oh, she punked him because she knows she's stronger than he is. But if you punk somebody and then you're scared later, I am lost.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't understand.
There was like a hole in that plot somehow.
Yes.
And I don't know what it is exactly, but it just didn't feel right to me. The whole initiating the punking thing and then being afraid. Yes, now that you've said it to me, yes, that's the other part of it, is that she was afraid. So I don't get it.
Yes. And my thing is, I think it was a means to an end. Either A, they didn't put one of the scenes in, or B, it's a means to an end. They wanted to get a certain thing out of her head. They just needed that to happen. So they're like, what do we do? And the thing is, you didn't have to do that. He could have just looked at her next and been like, aren't you the one that's, simple as that, because we're like, I know that the Santa Killers is not balanced. He could have just been done killing them, looked at her and been like, oh, we have a score to settle, don't we?
Now it seems we got a problem.
Yes, it doesn't need to be like they're beating people up and then she looks at him and is like, and you're ugly. Why? Well, why are you? Especially if you're not strong enough to follow that up. Why? It was the equivalent of that.
And for sure, she was mocking him, right? Like,
totally.
At first I was just thinking, is she just like she doesn't have feelings? Like, there are those people that don't really have normal feelings, and they'll just say the first shit that comes out of their mouth.
I'm going to assume it's Death is like that, but even Death knows she doesn't do that crap to Satan because she knows Satan can kill her.
That's true. And then she did go, yeah, I think so too. Like that's very mocking.
Of course it is, man. So we also have to assume that in hell there is sarcasm.
Oh, tons of it. That's where it comes from.
Hell?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Satan invented sarcasm.
He did. It's in the books. Read it. Uh-huh.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
New edition.
True. On the 8th day. Oh, no, that would be. I don't think they have days of Satan's creations, though.
You can get it on the dark web.
I like what she did right there. I like what she did. And I'm sure when he was getting he probably just invented it. The angels were like, are we really going to go after God? And he's like, yeah. And people were like, what did you just do there? What was that? He's like, I don't know. I just invented something along with sin.
God's doing a whole lot of stuff out there, but I've got my own thing, baby.
I know. But the thing is, like, for me, I love, because the odd thing is I loved what she did with the character as time went on. I didn't like it at first. I thought she was interesting, but so I was like, oh, this is cool. But then this scene, I was like, oh man, this was so weird for them to do. Yeah. But anyway, that's my little nit of a pick.
I have a feeling there's going to be more nitpicking going on, and that's quite all right. I'm actually looking forward to it on this one. So getting back to that nonsense, there's this blast that happens. Tank knocks them to their feet. And the Santa Killer sees the Angel of Death smiling, like, again, mocking him, and turns just in time to see this tank run over his torso. Like, it runs him over and lands, like, kind of cuts him in half, it looks like, but he didn't. He's the Saint, so he doesn't get cut in half. Hitler and Eugene are still scuffling. Eugene is about to stab Hitler in the face when Hitler asks, "What would Jesus do?" And Eugene contemplates that for a second, and he punches him. I think Jesus would punch Hitler.
Totally.
Now, back under the tank, the Santa Killers is watching Tulip and Eugene try to escape. Eugene falls, and Tulip goes to help him. He's like, "Sorry, these boots suck." And they soon get captured again by Sydney, right when she turns around. The Saint notices gas dripping on him, and he sees that he's directly under the gas tank of this tank, and he reaches for his knife. Now, Sydney, who has, like, Tulip around the neck, or excuse me, she has the whip around Tulip's neck, and she's pulling her aside, and Tulip says, "I know you're trying to be real scary and everything, but that breath."
Oh, also, dude, what this episode shows is something that I said last episode. Tulip likes Eugene.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason why she wouldn't.
Well, I'm saying, remember when we were debating on whether she really, like when I was like, the reason she didn't hurt Eugene is because she likes him. And I think that she it's not just a liking in passing. She likes him more than the normal person. What
I think she doesn't know is that,
yes. And she knows Preacher put him there, right?
That's a good question.
I think back in the day, she was like, "You put Eugene there?"
Yeah. I think he did tell her.
Yeah, and I think that she feels like she kind of owes him something.
You know what? If that is the case, which I'm kind of guessing on whether it is or not, then I'm surprised she wasn't a little more surprised when she saw him. Like, oh shit. Well, there you are. Cool. You know, like, problem solved. So now something happens that Saint does that I've never seen him do. I don't think this was something that was in the comic. I want to know how you feel about it, because he has hot breath. He got his knife and he blew hot breath on it, and he made the knife red hot. Did you know he could do that? I
did not, but look, man.
Did you like that?
They totally suckered me in.
I liked that. I thought it was kind of cool.
That joke was dope.
Now, we're jumping back and forth a lot because there is a battle going on, and Tulip and Eugene and Sydney, all of them, find themselves in the line of fire of this tank. Eugene yells, "Look out!" and the tank fires its cannon, and the blast is frozen in midair. Time stops, effectively. And it's very similar if you've seen The Force Awakens when Kylo Ren freezes that blaster in midair like that, which is dope as shit. Kind of like a very similar situation like that. If I just talked a whole bunch of Star Wars nonsense to you, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Sorry, but that's what it looked like.
I think this is more universal. It's like when Neo stopped the bullets. There we go.
Okay, fair enough. But I still like mine better.
I mean, you do, but more people were probably gonna. I would imagine the Preacher fandom are more. The Venn diagram is more overlapping with Matrix than Star Wars.
Okay, I'll give it to you. It is a classic.
I love your Force Awakens reference, but I think more people know the Neo thing where he puts his hand up and it pauses. That is a common thing. They don't really show that pausing thing in commercials. They show it for commercials for Matrix.
Oh, you're right. And you know what? Quite honestly, I forgot about that scene. I was never a big Matrix guy. I saw it, but I never got all crazy about it.
I liked it a lot. I think that it's I did like it a lot. It was a good movie. Now, I'm not just nuts over the Matrix. I just thought, wow, what a very original idea. But when they did that pausing the bullet, I don't think that happens without the Matrix. This scene does not happen without the Matrix.
You may have a point there. I'm going to give that one to you because you're right. It was like inspiration.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean,
and you know what? And I'll give you that on the Star Wars one too, Steve. How about that?
Yes.
Because that doesn't happen without the Matrix either.
Here's a question. I don't remember this now. Maybe you're going to, because you watched it more recently than I did. Mm-hmm. Was the fire still burning when time was paused?
Yes. It was like not smoldering, but there was the glow was there.
Now, why? If time was paused?
I don't know if it was like crackling and
even if it was
oxygen.
Moving,
it was just red hot.
it shouldn't have been. If the fire was still burning or moving at all, that's what I was saying. Was it moving?
Man, you are like digging deep this time around.
I'm just wondering. I just forgot because I'm like, well, technically the fire shouldn't even be moving.
I think, well, okay, you know what? I wasn't going to even bring it up, but you know what? Let's talk about that because in truth, they just did like a freeze thing and you could tell like Ian Coletti was kind of like rocking a little bit.
Oh, yeah, he told everybody, they're like, we could either A, CGI it or just B, all y'all do the mannequin challenge for like 30 seconds. So
but granted, but the mortar, of course, was CGI. I think it was just glowing, but I could be wrong.
And either way, it was a really good effect. I love how Tulip was very shocked at first. Like, what the crap is going on? And leading into the... And look, this next scene should have been the corniest thing in the face. I mean, this should have been corny.com. The scene coming up had all the ingredients of Cornball Central. All of the ingredients.
Those are some great locations.
You know what I'm saying? And so if you mess up one thing, it's a cornball scene. Go for it.
Excuse me, sir. How do you get to Cornball Central?
You here are the ingredients. A man saying that he's God dressed in a Dalmatian costume.
Well, let me just whip this up for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. It's and then again, it's classic Preacher, like trying to explain Preacher to someone.
You can't.
You just can't do it. I've tried many times.
You cannot. And why this scene works so well. This scene works so well because I was side-eyeing after the end of the scene. I side-eyed God so hard and been like, now I there has to be a season 4. Because what the crap is he up to? What is he doing? He has a plan for Tulip for sure, but why?
Because
I gotta know. Oh, she is something.
And he may have a type.
You know what? When I saw Homegirl on the bicycle, I'm like, he might have a type.
Hey man, all these Louisiana boys have a type, man.
He definitely have a type.
I can't blame him.
Cannot blame him. Cannot.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just I'll say something after the scene that made me laugh.
You know what's funny is that you're saying how we were talking about how you know it's really hard to explain Preacher to someone.
Yes.
I remember. I'm sorry, guys. I'm blaming myself for these stories that go nowhere. But last year, after I interviewed Dave Blass, I was like on a high when I was done. I was like, that went really well, and I was just in a really good mood. And it just so happens that it was my sister's birthday, so we all went to this Japanese restaurant, teppanyaki place, and we're sitting there. So my cousins show up, and my cousins are super religious, right? And they're like, how you been? I'm like, oh, great. I just interviewed Dave Blass and blah, blah, blah. And he's from Preacher. And they're like, oh, Preacher, what's that about? So I sat and tried to explain Preacher to my heavily Christian cousins. And they're so sweet. They just were like looking at me like, oh, yeah, that's good. Nice. But I have a feeling that like, I think they thought different than me of that day. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. That's a crazy, what you're explaining is totally
I'm like, so check it out, right? Like an angel has sex with a demon.
Oh, it's over, dude. Yeah, you're talking blasphemy then.
Now, God leaves heaven, right?
He's clocked a prick. Out.
God's a prick. You know, he leaves heaven like a dick. And, you know, it's so, yeah, that didn't go very well.
They clocked out.
So be very careful. Food for thought. Be very careful who you explain Preacher to. Maybe sometimes it's better just to go, here, read this, or here, watch this.
Also, I finally saw your sister on Twitter. You guys kind of favor each other.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
She's a handsome gal. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, sis. I love you.
Dang. She got mentioned on the cast.
You know, you're pretty damn lucky when you get mentioned on the cast.
You know?
The podcast. Getting back to this scene that we're talking about, the camera pans around this hovering mortar, and that may or may not be glowing. I don't remember. And we see this woman that's sitting on the back of a bike, so we already know what time it is. It keeps panning, and we find that it is God who, in fact, stopped this blast. And God says, you see, I am a loving God. That's his big line. He likes that line. We cut over to Mima's house now, back at old Mima's. And I noticed right away in this series, we're going to get to it. We won't spoil it, even though you've already watched it. But I noticed right away that she looked healthy to me. Did you catch that at all? Like she was more put together this time.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, her skin looked better or something. But
totally.
It was totally noticeable. And her and Kevin are sitting at the table, and all the other Les Enfants du Sang, which I won't have to say anymore very soon, are all scattered about and looking kind of mopey, kind of sad. And Icarius enters the room and tells them, that the betrayal committed by a loved one cuts most deeply. And, perhaps there's still hope for him, referring to Cassidy. He goes into the next room, and he sees Cass, who's still crucified on this pool table, and tries to convince him one last time to join him. Cassidy tells him no and to bugger off, and Icarius says that he doesn't want to kill him, but he will. Cass tells him, well, go ahead. Maybe I've done enough. And Icarius tells him all the things that he hasn't done, like seeing a tiger in the wild or going to Asia. I'm really sick of Icarius, to be honest with you, Steve. I'm just telling you.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
That's fair.
I'm done. But Cass suggests that maybe they're, I was done with him in the comic too. So he faded fast for me. Just from one podcaster to another, Steve. That's my opinion.
Fair enough.
Cass suggests that maybe there's an Asia when you die. So Icarius asks Cass if he chooses that over what he has to offer him. In other words, music and drugs and all that. And Cass tells him that he does choose that over murder, lying, and cannibalism. And Icarius then pulls out a few other things that will be missed. Among them, this unicorn-shaped glass pipe that he had ordered for him. And he says, it's this or burn. I like that because he was telling him, yeah, you put your drugs here. He's like, I don't need you to tell me how to use a damn pipe.
Exactly.
Freaking junkie, for Pete's sake. Don't be ridiculous. We switch back, and God and Tulip are now down by the water, and they're having a conversation. And I want to go ahead and play this one for you guys because it's the finale. We don't have that many. And we get to hear them have this conversation that is different than what happened in the comic, and we'll get to that in just a second. So here we go.
Nice trick.
Freeing one of my children from hell is my favorite trick of all.
Bunch of Nazis and a tank. I was figuring it out.
No, you were going to hell. But I am a merciful God.
What about Eugene, huh? You gonna be merciful with him too?
Which one's he?
With the face.
Oh, right. No. His path's different. I've come for you to lift your curse. From this day forward, the name O'Hare will be blessed.
So he's just trying to sweeten the pot for her. That's all he's really trying to do. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I mean, he hasn't really said what he is going for yet, what his main thing is, why he's there. But he's just trying to play all this smoke and mirrors and I am a wonderful God because he's trying to sweeten the pot for the one thing that he has to ask her.
I'm wanting to know what the crap it is.
He wants her to have Jesse leave her the hell alone.
No, but there's also I think there's something else. What is it about Tulip?
You really think there's something else?
Yeah, because he could have just had her killed then. And then, yeah, she's leaving him alone. And then he could just wait till later and kill him.
I don't know, because he's offering up all kinds of like sweet things like, oh, by the way, do you know that, maybe we don't even need to play this whole thing, but he's offering up the fact that Cass is in trouble.
Yes.
He's giving her all these things.
Yes.
To me, it just seems like he's just doing this because he wants Jesse off of his ass. Jesse's not off of his ass yet, so that's why he keeps coming back to Tulip. Now, you're asking, why did he pick Tulip?
Yeah.
I think the answer still stands that way, that it's because of Jesse, but I think that this is just Preacher AMC's version of tying it all together because, it was the same thing in the comic other than, actually, it's not true at all. He's the one that brought her back to life, and he made this deal with her then. Or he asked this of her then. So I think that they're just tying it all together. I don't really think, you think that some, like down the road, season 4 or something, he's going to come back to her yet again?
Yeah, there's something he wants from Tulip, I think. There's something he wants with Tulip.
Maybe, and it could go any way now. So you could be 100% right about that. But I'm just taking this as in stride, and realizing that this is how they're tying. Oh, remember that part that you didn't think you were going to get, guys? Now you're getting it.
Yes.
Shall we move along?
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll just keep on moving along on that one. But yeah, that's really it. Are we skipping a major part if I don't go all the way into that?
We will. We did not, because all it is he was saying your boy's in trouble, and she's like, no, he isn't. He's like, he is, and she's like, I don't believe you. And he said, well, since you don't believe me, we could just sit here and watch the beautiful sunset. That's what makes Tulip be like, because it's like I could either waste my time here watching this stupid sunset. Worst case scenario, if he's wrong, if he's lying to me, I wasted time watching the sunset with this dude anyway. If he's telling me the truth, I wasted time with him and my friend dies. The best of both worlds is me just checking on Cassidy. That's the best. Because even if Cassidy's okay, well, then I didn't have to watch the sunset with him. So either way. And she pretty much says, you're a prick. And he's just like no one calls him that. It was funny. And then I loved how at the end, the sister walks up and gives him that look. He's like, I'm coming. Because I was like, yep, she was definitely like, I don't care who you are. I'm not going to be sitting on this bike for 2 hours waiting for you dealing with this bull crap. And he's like, I'm coming.
God starts up time again, and the mortar flies past Eugene and Sydney, and the tank explodes. And but you're thinking the mortar went that way. Why did the tank explode? Because the goddamn Saint of Killers. That's why. He appears out. Now this looked good. I don't know if you like this part, but I was thinking of you when I saw that. I'm like, oh, Steve's gonna like that scene.
Oh, it was so good. I could have watched them, then flashback to their look, then back to him, then flashback to them looking at him. Then back to him walking. I could have watched that for about half an hour until he got to them.
He never gets any further. He's always a little bit further away.
Oh, dude. Because the thing is, the hat was like, whoever did the costume design, they put his hat perfect.
Yeah, I thought so too. It just looked, I mean, they always do a really good job, but it looked like the Saint of Killers, man. It looked
perfect.
It was awesome.
Perfect. Now, here's my question. When he gets up to death, why is it that now she's scared of him after the explosion?
Yeah, because she was talking smack to him when he was standing right next to her.
The explosion doesn't make him stronger. It just reincarnates him.
Well, maybe,
or it spawns him again.
Maybe she just like felt like she was kind of untouchable because she's an agent of Satan or something like that, and she was just mocking him like, "Come on, you're my passenger. You're the kind of a prisoner right now. You're working for me," kind of thing. So she's like talking down to him. You know what I mean? Like a bad manager.
But nothing changed.
Yeah, it did, because she was laughing at him. She talked shit on his kid.
Yes.
And then she was like mocking him and smiling at him when he gets ran over. Now he gets up and she's like, oh, I kind of messed up now. You know what I mean?
So but then that would mean that she always knew he could mess her up.
True, but maybe she just didn't think he was going to. I don't know. I don't know.
It's just a weird...
You're bringing up things that I can't answer, and I'm sorry I can't. But they're all valid questions.
I don't know exactly what's going on there. I imagine it was just like, look, we need to get to point C, so let's Scrabble B. Skip it. Whatever. And it was good enough because, look, they put in that scene of him walking.
Did you think he was going to say, not enough gun?
Dude.
I thought he was going to, man. I'm thinking, okay, dude, if this is where he says it works for me.
I think they put this in lieu of the nuke. And now if they still do the nuke, well, then that's great. I think it's still dope, but I have a feeling, no, it couldn't be in lieu because he walks out of a crater. And that's the one. Because they're like, sorry to ruin the comic for everybody, take your ears away. But when he walks out and Hairstar is like, oh, nothing can kill this guy. We just did the most. Nothing can kill this man. Okay, note to self. And I think that this doesn't show nothing can kill him. Because he got ran over by a tank. I don't even think that would have happened in the comic. I don't think Tank cuts him in half and then he has to explode and respawn. I don't know if that tank just stops when it hits him.
I think the tank would have stopped.
Like he puts his hand up and it just stops.
They make him more, I don't want to, kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say like immortal, but I guess he is immortal. But here they make him, on the TV show, they make him a little more, like they humanize him a little bit more.
Totally. He's like a superhero. You know who he is? He's Deadpool.
Yeah. Without all the jokes.
Yes, he can just respawn. He can't die. Problem is, there's not a problem. I would have much rather been like, the tank's coming, Death is like, oh, it's over for him, and he puts up his hand, and it just stops, and he looks at her, and she's like, oh, no. And his fingers, like, digs into the metal, and she's like, oh, my God, what in the world is this? I just think little things like that make us realize, oh, the Saint is a different person. He's not a mortal. Right now, he seems like a mortal that is, we have not seen anything that makes him less of a mortal, but just, like, super strong. We haven't seen him do, like, oh, that's why he's the Saint. I think they're going to show it, but we haven't seen, all we see him as a person that has these 2 guns that are ridiculous and that he can respawn. But there's a lot more to the Saint that they haven't quite gone into yet. He's unstoppable.
Speaking of them not getting into everything he does something in this episode where he shows that he has a soft spot.
He does.
Well, I mean, I guess he's been known to compromise in the comic, and he knows how to make it. You know what I mean? Like he's worked with Jesse. Spoilers, and he knows how to do a compromise. But in this one, he seemed like he had a genuine soft spot for someone.
I think he had a genuine soft spot for rules. There are rules that there should be that you have to abide by. They didn't, and so he only sees it as fair.
Okay, I'll go into it later. I'll derail us if I like counter that, but I'll go into it in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So he walks up to Sydney, who knows that she's done messed up, and right there he just takes her eyes out. You don't see it, but we will see that later. But she does say, "My eyes," so I don't feel like I'm spoiling it.
No.
Again, you've already seen it. He tells Eugene, time to go. And Eugene asks about Tulip, and Saint of Killers just says, it's her lucky day. And he pushes the bus back onto its wheels, and I guess he's driving now, and they continue their trip to hell. So he can drive too, but he didn't, maybe is Eugene driving? Someone's driving that thing because the bus driver's dead.
Look,
Saint of Killers didn't drive a car.
He knows how to do a lot of stuff for someone.
He can do a lot of stuff.
For someone that had been dead for years.
Oh, I'm so sorry we're nitpicking this, but it's just those little things. When you watch something so much, you think these things. We go back to the tombs, and TC steps out all too happy with that top hat on and says, welcome, you motherless go-humpers. I always wanted to say that. And before he can get any further with that, Jesse throws the first punch, and he and Jody go at it for their final battle. It's a long battle. They beat the living shit out of each other, and TC watches this, and he's got his little number gas thing hooked up. He's just inhaling. Now, this is a point for the comic. Jesse grabs a board with two long nails sticking out of it and puts it right into the side. I feel like I'm a hot mic here, sir. Sorry, hold on one second. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Jesse takes his board with the two long nails and slams it right into Jody's face, and it sticks in there, straight out of the comic. It was awesome. He pulls that out very slowly, and I love the look on Jesse's face, too. Like, holy shit, he just pulled that thing out of his face like that. He pulls it out, he drops it, he just goes, that was different. That's a straight up beast right there, dude. We go back to Mima's, and Cassidy has now been saved by Icarius. And Cassidy goes, Icarius goes, can I get you anything? He says, yeah, give me a drink. There's a bottle in my coat. So he goes to get this bottle, and it's a bottle of coolant, because he likes to drink that shit. He takes a drink, he offers it to Icarius, but then he kind of jokes with him and takes it back because Icarius apparently threw up over 3 wine coolers the night before, and they have a good laugh about it because everything's supposed to be good now. Icarius takes a swig from it, which is always like his undoing. Because you notice later that he does get pretty, like, he loses his edge.
Yes.
And he gets very vulnerable, and he ends up making mistakes whenever he has alcohol or he's high.
But I think there's nothing he could do about this. What's about to happen, there is nothing he could have done to avoid it.
No, but at the same time, it made Cass's job a lot easier. He didn't have to, like, force it quite so hard. I mean, that seemed like that was a very easy thing for them to all do, being that he's this powerful vampire.
Yes.
And he's just got a bunch of noobs. Well, we'll get to it. But I think that it has everything to do with the drinking. But I could be wrong. Cass makes a funny comment, too, because he looks at his hands. He goes, Jesus, it's going to be weeks until I can masturbate properly. And Icarius offers him some squirrel blood to heal up Cass, and give him like that quick fix. But Cass says, I just cheated death, and I got back with my handsome lunatic friend. I don't want any of your goddamn squirrel blood, all right? And they have a laugh, and then they all go tell the Les Enfants Toussaint that Cass has repented and that everything's going to be good. There's going to be this big blood ceremony to celebrate. And Icarius asks, who wants to take flight? And the hand goes up, and it's Mima. And she still has that look on her face, and Icarius just goes, perfect. We go back again to the tombs, and the fight continues. Jody's tossing Jesse around like a rag doll, and the lighter falls from Jesse's pocket, and Jody notices right away. So when he gets an upper hand and he incapacitates Jesse for a little bit, he grabs that lighter, and he says, I was looking for this. I took it from your daddy. Remember that night, boy? And that's all. That was it right there.
That was it.
That was it. Jesse gets up, and we see like a scene where Jody does, in fact, we've seen this scene several times throughout the series where Jody kills John Custer. But the only difference this time is that the arm, it usually stops at the arm tattoo. It works all the way up. And yes, it's Jody. And he gets, right when he pulls the trigger, he gets blood on his face.
But there was a moment that you could see Jody hesitate. He didn't just say, I can't wait to shoot this. You could see in his eyes that it was a duty. At least that's what I got from it. And he finally pulls.
I'll have to check that out again because I just thought he was just like cold blood staring at him and just doing it.
I don't even think that's him. As much as Jody puts that out, Jody definitely does have some sense of he has like a code. He'll do whatever grandma tells him to, but it's not like he just can't wait to do it. Some things he can't wait. The only time I saw him he couldn't wait was when he can go into that apartment complex and beat up all those guys. He couldn't wait. He was like, oh, this is going to be fun. It's like old times. Let's have fun. Other than that, I don't see how killing people is like his thing.
Yeah, it seems like he gets enjoyment out of it when he has to do it just because, well, I got to do this. Might as well make it fun. But yeah, he's not just walking around maliciously killing people all the time.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, for sure.
So now that Jesse's all pissed off again, him and Jody are going at it pretty hardcore this time. And when he was lying down on the ground, I guess he got a hold of a chain, and he uses this chain to his advantage. And he beats the shit out of Jody. He has the chain wrapped around his neck, I think, and he's like whipping him against the wall over and over.
I don't know how that is working. Now, this whole fight, dude. Okay, now I'll let you go. Keep going.
I was just going to say that, he decides to like get closer to him. And as he's doing that, he eventually just reaches and grabs a hold of his head and repeatedly bashes his head against the wall, crushing his skull. And Jody falls to the ground with his eyes open, therefore being dead. What were you going to say?
Okay, first, how did you like this fight sequence?
To be honest with you, it was cool, but I didn't really feel like it was the fight sequence that needed to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel as grand to me or something. There was like something about it that didn't give me the victory that I felt when I read the book. And but it's very petty. It's very petty. Yeah. But since you're asking,
that's where I'm at. I'm like, there's no way from what we've seen that Preacher should have won that fight. Like with the chain bouncing him against his neck. Literally, all he would have had to do, like, as soon as he whipped him against that wall, Jody would have just stopped him from doing that again. He'd be like, oh, no, I'm stronger than this.
Yeah, dude, I admittedly thought the same exact thing.
You're like, when you're whipping me against, Jody would have just stood up and been like, boy, what are you doing? And he would just, when he stood up and started ringing him toward him, I'm like, that's what would happen the whole time. Like, literally, the real Preacher, if Jesse in real life was fighting Jody, the last thing he wants to do is put a chain between them, knowing how strong Jody is. Jody would have like twisted him around the place and thrown him somewhere with it. He picked up a truck.
You made a mistake, boy.
Exactly. I'd be like, let's not give anything that gets him, less space between us. You know what I'm saying? I don't buy it at all. But again, you have to get to section C.
You got 90 minutes.
You got to get past it. But there's no freaking way Jesse should have won.
But he did. Okay. All right. But I mean, he did win in the comic, so he has to win.
But though he won in a way that made sense in the comic. And remember, we had a lot of buildup. Like, he done a lot of fighting before going to that place. And so did this Jesse, but not like, and mind you can't do what the comic does. You can't. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't really get a chance to see how crazy good he was at fight. We saw how good he was at shooting a lot. We haven't seen that, he'll put the gun down and be like, I can't wait for this. And just fight.
Yeah, I guess so.
He had years of just fighting. And then he goes back to Jody and he's like, all right, let's do this once and for all. Well, I just don't think, and unfortunately, Jesse standing up next to, because remember, Jesse wasn't super small compared to Jody in the book. He was not as ripped as he was, but he wasn't that far off. Jody just knew how to fight. That's the only difference. Jody was a really good fighter. In this situation, Jody's not only a good fighter, but he's like a foot taller than he is.
With super strength.
And so I'm like, well, there's nothing that makes me think Jesse should have won, except that you guys wrote it in as him winning.
Yeah, that's true. It's because it's in the script, okay? That's why.
That's it.
Did I lose you?
I'm back. Sorry, I disconnected my earphone.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Now I'm back.
All right.
But yeah, that's the only thing. Okay, that's a situation where you're like, okay, the writer's room said he won, so he won.
Yeah, man. I think I'm with you on that. Again, I'm only answering you because you brought it up. But yeah, it was sort of once I'm thinking about it, it really kind of was like a lackluster final showdown for me.
Yes, but man, this next scene.
And there's more to come. Yeah, there's some good shit coming right now.
Oh, Oh, it's heartbreaking, man. And not the next scene, but then when we see the next scene in the tomb, it's just like, oh, come on. This is heartbreaking.
So TC, who doesn't really seem that fazed by it. Did you notice that? He's just like, he's sort of just standing there with sort of a, well, what do I do now look on his face. But he's not, I was surprised he wasn't like, Jody, or anything like that. Yeah. But, he stands up and he looks at Jody kind of sadly, and he just tells Jesse, he goes, today was a day, huh? And Jesse tells him to get 2 cans of gasoline. And TC asks, 2 cans? And that's when Jesse throws in the whole, go get it. TC runs out of the room, hobbling on his injured foot, and Jesse lights a cigarette. And as he lights the cigarette, he hears the chain rattling behind him. And he turns to find Jody standing there. And all Jody says is, proud of you, boy. And he just falls down and he dies. So now I can say it. Goodbye, Jeremy Childs. Thank you very much for your amazing portrayal of Jody. And you, sir, will be missed. He's not coming back. For sure.
Here's my question. How is TC walking on that leg?
He was running on that leg. I don't know. Like, I don't even know if he should have a foot left, but after, point blank shotgun blast.
There would be no smiling where he's just like, I always wanted to say that.
I know why.
I would not be thinking about that.
I know why. The numberer. Why? Because he was sitting there huffing on that numberer the whole time.
Oh, you're a smart man, Dan.
No, but I just watched it and I even thought, I remember going, oh, he's just sitting there getting high watching the show. But no, of course that's why he's on it, because he got shot in the damn foot. How can I watch that 3 times and miss that? I don't know.
You're a wise man.
Thank you. So we're back at Mima's again. I'm not going to say that very much anymore, and that's pretty good. But Mima is now laying on the pool table, and all of the Les Empes du Sang are watching. And they ask her how she's doing. She's like, comfy, actually. I thought I might need a lint roller on my backside. Cass and Icarius are ready to dine, and Icarius is clearly high from all this coolant, and he asks Mrs. Rosen if she'd object to a menage a trois. Mima says, on the contrary, I'd be honored. Cass asks her if he's ready to pass through. They say their little vampire ritual thing, and Icarius doesn't even want to wait for the answer. He's like, she's ready, and he turns her head and reveals her neck, and then he realizes that she already has fang bites, Steve. She's got fang bites in there. So he looks up, and he's like, what's going on here? And all the Les Empes du Sang are just like staring at him, blank stares. And he says, answer me, but still nothing. And he turns to Cass, who is no longer like looking like Cass anymore, but looking at him like, oh, you done messed up now. And he asks him, what have you done? And that's when Mima just springs into action and sinks her fangs right into Icarius. And all the Les Empes du Sang all work to pin Icarius down, driving stakes into his hands and crucifying him upside down on the table. Or upside down? Not upside down, but like face down onto the table.
How did you like this scene?
I was glad that it was an ending. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm just kind of over that whole thing. So it was cool. Were you expecting like a final big battle between the two of them or something like that?
No,
because I never saw that coming.
I loved what's happening now. And here's the thing that I loved. We were right last week.
Go on.
Kind of. We said that on the phone, what was he doing? We're like, she's going to call and somehow realize that people are dead. We were off on how they were going to realize it. And I still think it was an interesting, like, where it's like, how many people did you call? How many people answered?
Yeah, 87 and none.
But just because 87 people didn't answer, I'm shocked that they jumped to the conclusion, well, must be dead. I'm shocked that they jumped to that.
Well, it's a pretty high number,
It is, but then their luck, they call somebody and one does show, because that's impossible. 87 called, 87 didn't answer, but Hoover should have answered. So right off the bat, they were wrong about one of them.
I'm thinking about that. Well, maybe they never, you're pulling up these things that I have to like make up an answer for.
They were already wrong. So I'm like, well, technically when Hoover come walking down the stairway, they shouldn't have all applauded. They should have all been like, wait a minute. Didn't we just say nobody survived? What happened?
Well, then again, Cass saw him go. So he wouldn't have had Grandma call or Mima call him anyway, because he knew he was just out there.
That's true, too.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Maybe. That's true.
The one thing that I did like, or not the one thing, but one thing that I did like when they were nailing the stakes into his hand is how his hands changed. Like he shape-shifted all the different animal forms that he could do. I thought that
he tried to be like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah, but it was cool because they were all like shrieks of pain. It sounded like a pig squealing or a dog or whatever. It was a cool effect. I liked it.
And here's my quick question. why not become a lizard so that you could just regrow things back?
Okay, now that's it, Steve. you're asking me questions that I simply can't answer.
Or become a rat where you don't really miss a finger.
Become a mosquito.
Dude, come on. There's a million things you could have just done.
Why don't you just become a stronger vampire?
Dude. Oh, snap. Oh, mind blown. Mind blown. I am going to turn into the strongest vampire ever.
All right. Problem solved.
He could. But yeah, I love that little phasing thing that they did. And again, I like how they put him on his back. And the thing, and I'm assuming they did it this way, is because if you're on your back, or they put him on his front, because if you're on your back, you can use your weight to pull your hands out of these things. If you're strong. If you're on your back, using your weight to push backwards is way harder.
And you've only got so much range of motion.
Bingo! Yeah. It was a smart move by Cassidy.
Cass has done this before.
Oh, snap. And here's my thing. I love the Dawn Cassidy. Even though it only lasted for 2 minutes because it totally just crumbled around him. But I loved how he was the Dawn. Like, he was telling things like, here's what we're going to do. You should, getting in his face, making these smart comments. I'm like, I like Cassidy as the Dawn, even though it just kind of lasted for a second and a half.
I wonder if they'll come back. You know what? Never mind. I was just going to say, I wonder if they'll come back to it later because we do see Les Empêches again.
Yeah.
Are they going to have some respect for him or something like that? But I just answered my own question because of what's to come.
Yes.
That's the problem when you're always comparing the comics.
Well, no, there are a few there still, though.
That's true.
They can start turning a group of people and make a brand new crew.
Brand new Mima. Spoiler. Brand new Mima's house.
Yeah, but they totally can.
Yeah, you're right.
They can turn a bunch of people.
She effectively turned all of them by herself.
Totally. And she could say, okay, we're going to make a brand new crew and we're going to run into Cassidy later. But he's our person now. He's like the dude.
So yeah, we kind of jumped around a little bit, but Icarius does in fact deduce that Cass was the one that turned Mrs. Rosen, and Cass tells him that he let her turn all of the rest of them. And Icarius asks if Cass is going to go back to his lonely existence. He's trying to sell it like, you need me kind of thing. Cass says yes, but first, dinner time. And all of the Sempes Toussaint feast on him before ultimately putting him into the light. But they got a good feed off of him. Don Giovanni's playing in the background, which was, kind of like a poetic justice, if you will. We then go back to the tombs, and TC is now dousing Jodie's corpse with gasoline. This is the scene that I think you and I were both talking about. It was a little heartbreaking for me, man.
It was, yes. It was when TC... Well, go ahead and say what he said.
Well, I'm going to just play it because all of the clips that I provided this time around this is a short one, but these are just the people that I'm really sad to see go. So I'm going to go ahead and play this right now. Colin Cunningham was awesome, and this is like an awesome performance. Here we go.
All right, go.
Ain't you gonna kill me?
I don't hate you that much. Come on.
Nah, I'm good. Angelville, I know it's wicked and evil and all that, but I got nowhere else to go.
Oh. You sure?
Good seeing you again, Jesse.
Give my life for thee.
And Jesse tosses the cigarette.
Man.
It broke my heart. That smile that he had on his face, and he's just like, good seeing you again, little Jesse. It's too much, man. Colin Cunningham, thank you so much for your performance as TC. Congratulations to you, sir. I wish you nothing but the best in the future. Your future endeavors.
Now go ahead and say your theory, Dan.
Well, here's the deal. I think that I've answered it, though. We kind of talked about this off mic, even though this is my theory. We never saw him go. We never saw a body. We saw Jody die. We see other people die. We see their bodies dead. We don't see him go. But then again, he says, well, there's nothing left for me, and this is all I really know. So I guess he just killed himself? Or is he still alive? I'm thinking that he's dead, but is it possible that he could still be alive because we didn't see him go?
He is dead.
I think you're right. I know. I think I'm just hanging on to this because I really like Colin Cunningham. But yeah, I think you're right.
I think he wanted to die. Like I said off mic, what happened is, in my opinion, there is no world for TC. This world is not built for TC. Only Angelville is built for TC. And since if Angelville's gone, there's nowhere for him to go. And so he's like, I lived a good life. My brother's gone. Chances are grandma's going to be gone. So why would I even, I don't need this anymore. And even if grandma wasn't gone, does TC really want to be there anymore without Jody? Does he want to be with grandma by himself? Because him saying, go ahead and take me away, he's assuming he doesn't know if grandma's going to die. He's saying if she does or if she does not, I want to die here in the tombs.
You know, that actually was my original thought, though, of was he dead or not, is because she's not dead yet. You know what I mean? So I was thinking that was the catalyst of it all, is that she's not dead. So maybe he's just going to stick around and take care of grandma. He seems to really like taking care of her. He's good at doing everything around her that he needs to. That's what I thought was happening. And
this shows that maybe he isn't. This shows possibly that there is another side of how he feels about taking care of grandma. Because what he's essentially saying is, yes, I don't know grandma's dead. She might be, but right now, I don't know. But I would rather go this way anyway.
That makes the most sense. And I think that like favors the story more. That he just goes, you know, and he does like this, I don't want to call it noble, but he just throws himself into the flames essentially because he's got nothing left. Sad.
Totally.
It was really sad.
It's very sad because the thing is, here's the genius thing that they did. They didn't give him a moral compass. They didn't say he's either moral or immoral. He's amoral. There's nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? It's not that so we can't really say, oh, we hate him. Why? He hasn't really done himself. What has, other than obviously the, animal screwing, but what has he done to hurt another person of his own volition?
Outside of knocking Jesse across the head with that shotgun several times, really not much else.
He's a pet. So they make him kind of this pet that you don't feel either way about, but they know that since you don't feel either way about him, we could make his death sympathetic. And they did.
They did a damn good job.
What they didn't want to do is make his death sympathetic, start the fire, and then you hear him screaming in the tomb. They were like, Jesus, that's a little bit.
It's a little bit much.
It's a little bit rough because that's what he would be doing.
Yeah.
He's not going to just lay down on fire. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to like, okay, we can't have him screaming, running around the tomb, being like, I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind. Like, oh no. So we're going to have to just go ahead and assume he's caught on fire.
That makes the most sense. I was just thinking that, actually, you know what? That's it. I just wanted Colin Cunningham to stick around. But the whole thing is that he can't. I mean, it's not going to serve the story any purpose because they leave Angelville. So what would be the point of coming back to him? He's not like he's going to be the man in the chair that's working on the computers and telling him where the Grail's chasing after him or...
Exactly.
This is where... whatever. This is where Hairstar is. This is where Santa Killers is. Yeah, it was just sad. And I felt bad for him, and I really wanted him to stick around for a little bit longer. Maybe that's why I'm sad today, Steve. Too many good people dying.
That's what's going on with you.
I think so. It's weird. It's kind of weird. I'll move it along, though. I cut that scene because you couldn't see this part, but what happens right after that is the screen goes black, and we see this texting conversation going on between Jesse and Tulip. It goes as follows. Yeah, it just says, Jesse, it's all caps. Jesse, what is up? Tulip says, going to find Cass. Jesse says, okay. Tulip says, what are you doing? Jesse says, going to kill grandma, BRB. And Tulip, there's like a little, you can see that. You know how like when you're typing on an iPhone and you can see the little dots? And then all of a sudden you can tell she's looking for the right emoji and then it just pops up. It's a thumb. I thought that was hilarious because the detail put into that. Yeah, it could have just been an instant thumb, but that's not how it happens. And they must like Apple products.
And then you literally see Jesse putting his phone away.
Yeah.
So good.
When Jesse starts walking away from the slave quarters, they're all starting to smoke. I started thinking about something. Now, obviously, this story is a fictitious story, but there were plantations, that are not fictitious. And the tombs were under the slave quarters. And I never really gave that any of the attention before until just when I saw him walking away from them, smoldering and smoking. But it's really chilling to me to think, like, what happened in there, even though there is,
dude.
you know what I mean? Even though there is no.
What was Grandma doing 100 years ago in that place? Oh
exactly.
My gosh. Who was she having fight?
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I just like thought about that and I visualized that and I kind of did I was thinking about it.
Yes.
Evil shit. Jesse enters Grandma's parlor because it's time to get down, and she tells him, "Welcome home." And she asks if the briefcase that he's holding, that Jody had, is for her. And Jesse tells her that she has enough souls in there to last her 100 years, and that his debt is in fact paid. She says, "Not so sure about that. I'm not going to do the word effect," but basically he says, "Say your debt is paid." And she does. And then the handkerchief burns in her hand, which I don't know why she was just sitting there holding it, but it is what it is. And he tells her, "Release Tulip." And this was gross. She still had that toenail, hair, skin cell cocktail stuck in somewhere
gross.
Like a goat keeps something in their stomach. You know what I mean? And she spits that up into that disgusting spit jar that she has. She spits it in there and she gasps and she says, "Jesus." And Jesse tells her, "Jesus has nothing to do with this." So Grandma goes into like, "Okay, well, you've won. So, you can go ahead and leave your poor Grandma alone. Go ahead and get out of here. You have everything that you want." But this is where Jesse finally gets to tell Grandma what's up. This is where they have their major, confrontation, this version of it anyways. So I thought I would go ahead and play that because, again, we are signing off Betty Buckley here shortly. And we'll go ahead and play that right now for you.
Fine. You won. Go on. Leave your poor Grandma all by herself.
I've tried that once before. Walking away. Leaving you behind. It didn't work. Wherever I went, Angelville was with me. In the back of my head like some kind of bad dream. But today's the day I wake up. Today's the day I'm going to kill you and burn this house to the ground.
You think so?
Oh, I know so. Been thinking 20 years on how I'm going to do it. Well, I figured no better way to strap you into your own machine and turn you to dust.
Well, if it's my time for heaven.
Heaven. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're going straight to hell.
I hate to break it to you, but I made a deal with my gentleman caller.
That's what I was talking about.
Satan. And we came to a new agreement. If you kill me, when you die, you're the one going to hell.
What do you do? I'm not walking out of here with you still breathing.
Don't be so upset, Jesse. I saved your girl. You got your power. You're free of me. Sweetheart, you won.
You won too, didn't you, Grandma? 100 years worth.
And right there is where he says, "Grandma, throw those damn souls in the fire." Uses the word on her and throws the soul. You there, Steve? Sorry, I just started talking.
I am.
Oh, okay. So I cut it. We get the idea. He uses the word on her and tells her to throw the souls into the fire, which she does so against her will. Now, essentially, this is where Jesse just goes ahead and decides, look, she's just going to die in misery, right? That's what you get from that at first, because he does, in fact,
I
leave
totally
her.
get it, yeah.
So that's enough for you. Jesse tried to take the high road and let her live, but live in misery and just die slowly over time.
And the thing is, I think she wanted to live long. She knows that she's now going to be dying within the next, 10 to 15 years, maybe 5 years.
Yeah, it's going to be quick.
No Jodie, no TC. It's going to be quick. And she knows once she goes, the scary part for her is where she goes next.
Which she is afraid of going to.
Little does she know that something changed that deal too. That deal is no longer in the situation. So where does she go now?
Well, there's only one choice. She's not going to heaven. So Jesse leaves Grandma to die alone. He walks outside, he gets into Jodie's truck, and he starts to drive. And he makes it to the main street, and then we look over, like the camera moves a little bit, and we see that young Jesse is now sitting next to him, which I assume is representing his conscience. Older Jesse tells himself that, she was right. Maybe she was right, and that he got what he came for, and that he did in fact win, so maybe he should just go. But of course, young Jesse says it doesn't feel like it, right? It doesn't feel like he won, is what he's saying.
Of course not.
Yeah. So older Jesse says, no, it doesn't, and turns back around. And then I got happy again, because I was like, whoa. That's not Jesse.
No, he's like, I can give a damn. Well, let's see this next scene.
Actually, I knew that he was still going to do it. I just had the feeling, but it was still like, why did you do that? But this is why. So he goes back in, he straps her to her machine, and he pulls off her wig, revealing those 4 little hairs that she has on her head. And she tells him, you're going to burn in hell for this. And Jesse says, maybe someday, but today you burn. And then he turns on the machine. He gets this machine working so hard that it starts to smoke. And then that's when we see Marie Langell do like that thing that they do in scary movies where their head starts shaking back and forth real fast.
Mm-hmm.
What ends up happening is she gets drained of all of these souls that she had in her. I don't know how many she had in her at the time, but what ends up happening is the way that her looks. So sorry, guys, my English is foul right now. The way that she becomes, how she actually looks, is very, very close to how she looked originally in the comic, I thought. Like it turned her into this really...
Very much so.
Decrepit, shriveled up person. But that's it. Bye-bye, Marie Langell. Betty Buckley, thank you for your services. Thank you very much.
However, we don't see a dead body.
I think she was pretty dead, dude.
I think she's the more likely to come back than anyone.
Interesting. I actually just I took her for dead. She looked like a mummy.
So do I. Though.
So I sincerely don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. So after Jesse takes her out, he goes into the walkway and he looks up into this window. And in the window, there's like this beam of light that's shining down. He looks up and he kind of like basks in it. And it is essentially the light above, which is the name of this episode. Do you think that's what they're talking about? There's a couple of places where it could be. But that's what I got.
Oh no! You know what? No, I think no. I think it's referring to another scene.
The one at the end.
The one with Cass.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be either one of those two, but it could have worked for either, I guess. So Icarius has now been turned to ash. We're back with the Les Enfants du Sang one more time. The vampires have all now feasted, and Mima asks, "Well, now what?" This was funny to me. Cassidy tells her to go get a dustbuster and maybe a sponge. So he doesn't give a shit. He's just there, like taking it all in. And he's reflecting on something. You can tell that something's on his mind. Mima wants to know what they should do after all of that. Like, after all, they are night wraiths, right? And Cass tells them to just quit it with all that night wraith bullshit because they're just vampires. But they all seem lost. Like, they literally don't know what to do. Well, now we've had this dream of being vampires forever, and now we are. What's next? They're completely bored. I thought that was hilarious.
That's true.
Cass's phone rings and it's Tulip calling. This was like a really emotional part too. You could tell that Cass really like needed to hear from her.
Really bad.
Really, really needed to hear from her. He felt alone again. Like everything was just like he was with a bunch of people that he didn't know that didn't really deserve to be vampires because no one does in his eyes. And he was just like left to be. And how did he put it? It was like his lonely existence or something like that. Like he's now there. Yes. So he gets this call from Tulip, who's his old friend and of course someone that he's in love with still. And he just gets so emotional, and she's just calling to check on him and see how he's doing.
He's close to breaking.
Yes, he does. His voice cracks a little bit, and that's what he's like. Thank you for calling me. And she's just telling him that I'm coming to get you. And he's like explaining everything. Well, you hear like one side of the conversation. So first she's talking real fast. And he's like, hey, slow down a second, because she's telling him all the Angelville stuff. And then he goes back and tells her what he's been through. And they decide that, she does say, where are you at? I guess he gives her the location. And then the phone call essentially ends. But he was just like, thank you so much for calling. Like, he had tears in his eyes. He did. And that was sad too, man. Like, the friends need to be back together.
Because he was really needing someone. He had a rough few weeks. It was tough. And then a friend that he thought was his friend, he had to kill him just now.
He thought he found another partner that he could hang out with for a really, really long time. Longer than they could have hung out. Like, there was no issues of mortality. There's not going to be any death. You could hang out with this person forever if you wanted to.
Yes.
So right before he hangs up with Tulip on the phone, we see Hoover stroll in, and Hoover's all goffed out like the Les Ambas du Sang. And everyone's like, hey! And Hoover just walks in and says, where's the party?
I knew something was up. Because that is not Hoover's personality.
Yeah, he had like the whole
swag.
Yeah, and he was just telling him, he's like, so I got back to the, I should have played an audio clip for this one for a reason that we'll get to in a little bit, because I don't know how many more of those I'll be playing. However, he essentially tells Cass that he's like, when I got back to the Grail office, I was sitting there and, my boss is a freaking lunatic. My benefits suck. And I get your text. Mm-hmm. So it all just made it just, I'm paraphrasing, but it all made sense for him. The story that he's telling Cass anyway, to come back and just be with them. He didn't need that anymore. The benefits suck. He also offers Cass a gift. He brings him a gift for saving his life, which is this spiffy new umbrella. I don't know if it's like, Grail standard or something like that, but he brings him this umbrella and he tells him, that's going to get you some good luck. And then you start hearing flying over the house, and suddenly the freaking roof lifts off this thing.
Yeah, and he keeps on saying, the funny thing is he says, you might want to open it. And Cassidy says, that's bad luck opening an umbrella inside.
Thank you very much. That's what it was.
And he says, Hoover's like, open it. He gets real serious and he's like, I need you to open it. And it's so cool because you could, he kind of makes it clear later on that it was because you saved my life. I owed you this.
Yeah, he gave him that one. But that's really not the case at all. So now they're kneeling down. These umbrellas are open. The roof lifts off of the Mima's house, and we just have vampires running everywhere. They're just all engulfed in flames, and you hear all this going down, and they're like hovering down with their umbrellas. Once all is said and done, and he starts to look around. He looks from underneath his umbrella, and he sees that there's like piles of ashes everywhere. Mm-hmm. He stands up, and he turns, and he sees Hoover standing right in front of him. And he asks him, he's like, what did you do? And Hoover tells him, I lied. The benefits are great. And just then, a tranq dart hits Cass right in the neck. Cassidy tells Hoover, he's like, I eat horse tranquilizers for breakfast. And Hoover says, I told them, that's whale. And Cass falls to the ground. The camera then pans up and we see Hairstar and Featherstone standing there at the top. And Featherstone's the one that actually shot him with the tranq gun. Next up, we get this shot of a helicopter carrying the top of Mima's house and dropping it into the river.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. But below, you're on the city street and you see one side of the street, you got two humperdoos walking on either side of the street. And they're just humperdoo. They're looking at each other. And I guess that's going to be the end of that for them too. I don't know if we're going to see Humperdoo anymore. There's really no reason for us to see Humperdoo anymore at this point.
No.
So shout out to Tyson Ritter. Good job, sir. All these great people are leaving and it's just sad to me, man.
Here is my huge issue.
What's that?
I think this isn't a bad thing, mind you. It wasn't until the end that I realized how much I missed Hairstar in this episode. He brings something, dude.
Oh, most definitely.
He really does bring something.
Oh, he smashed it in the little time that he had in this one.
In the little time, that's what I'm just like, he really adds to episodes, dog, doesn't he?
Yes, and but the character that he's starting to do now, like that version of Hairstar, it's only going to get better. I really don't think there's going to be an issue with the season 4, man. I think that there's so much more to tell right now. And maybe I'm just being an optimist, but when he comes back in season 4 and all that shit starts happening to him, dude, they have the best. There's no other person that should be playing Hairstar. Pip Torrance is the shit.
Word. Agreed.
So we cut back to Mima's again, but it's already too late. Tulip's arrived. Cass is gone. And she calls down. She's like, Cass? And she hears some motion down there. And what it is that Mima and Kevin had jumped into the coffins that Cass and Icarius had. I'm so sick of saying that name. My lips don't work anymore. And they open up the door and they tell him that they were taken. That Cass was actually taken by 2 men and a woman dressed in white. So she obviously knows what's going on there. We switch over to Hell and Eugene is now talking to Satan. He's trying to tell him like it is. He's like, it wasn't until now that I knew what my purpose was. But his purpose was to tell Satan that even though he's a bad person, that, he should open up his heart to God and give God a call because after all, they used to be homies and they should, try to fix that situation. Satan says, I just realized I have a purpose too, and backhands Eugene, knocking him to the floor. He says, get your ass out of your head, doofus. God is gone. I love the way that guy talks. Saint of Killers, though, didn't like. Now, this is what I'm getting at. I think that Saint of Killers does have a soft spot for Eugene because, he could have just not said anything, but he doesn't like this. And he tells Satan, he's like, you didn't have to do that. Satan's like, we were just joking. And he tells the Saint of Killers, like no big deal. But the Saint's not having that. And I really think that there's something that Eugene, maybe it's just his innocence and the fact that he knows that he's not supposed to be there. But
that's the thing for me.
But he's guarded him,
Yes.
And plus, he is his foster parent. Satan tells the Saint of Killers that he has, in fact, completed his part of the bargain. So, Satan's going to have to do his part now. And he gives him back his gun and his swords, but not before getting bumped by the cart. The reason that he got bumped by the cart that's carrying these swords and the gun is that Sydney is pushing this thing. And, of course, she has no eyes anymore. And he kind of looks at her. He looks at her kind of crazy. And he's like, okay, thank you. We got it from here. Shoes her off. And then he tells Saint of Killers, he's like, I don't know what happened there, but I assume she deserved it.
Yep, does not care.
So now that the Saint is free to go and hunt down the preacher, Satan asks him what the unfortunate preacher's name would be. And this is where he tells him it's Jesse Custer. And you see Eugene. I love this part. Eugene's ears kind of perk up a little bit and he grabs his attention. Satan can't believe the synergy that they're having and tells the Saint of Killers that it works out for both of them because the Saint of Killers will get to kill Jesse. Jesse's going to go to hell. Everyone wins. He tells him to go be without God, but the Saint pulls a gun out on him, and he says, how dare you pull a gun on the Prince of Darkness? I'll flay you into 1,000 pieces. And the Saint asks him the question that he's been wanting to ask him. He's like, were the crows your idea? That's a question. Satan just doesn't even really know what to say, but he's like, okay, look, I was in on the meeting where they were talking about it, but, it was God. He blames it all on God. He says, now put the gun down, or you and I are going to have a problem. But Saint of Killers says it's too late, and he shoots Satan right in the fucking head.
So Satan doesn't think these guns are going to work with him.
No, I think he does, actually. Because he's like, put him down. Why would he even be tripping on that?
Well, I think he's just saying, if you shoot me, we're going to have it. Because he said, put them down or we're going to have a problem. As in, if you don't and you do something, we're going to have issues. He didn't say, put them down or else you're going to kill me. He's like, put them down or I'm going to hurt you. I don't think he knows the history with those guns.
I think he does.
Otherwise, he wouldn't even have given it to him.
I think he does know. I think he was just simply going off of I'm Satan, I'm going to try to intimidate you. But he knew because he was panicking.
Also, his swag. No one has ever challenged Satan.
Yeah. Exactly.
The only person that's challenged him is the person that doesn't have. And that's another good thing I loved about this episode. It shows that even though he's a goofball, how far ahead of everyone God is. When he's pausing time, they're like, oh yeah, don't forget though. Technically, he could blink everyone out of existence. Don't forget that this guy is around still. And that's the thing with Jesse. There's a reason he's keeping Jesse alive. I think it's Genesis, because he could just think Jesse out of existence. But there's a reason he's saying I have to keep him alive.
That's 100% the reason, though. He doesn't want Genesis getting out. At least with Jesse walking the earth, Genesis is at bay.
That's the thing. And I love that. I think the thing is, he could, because the thing, he likes Tulip. Let me tell you why I've decided that he likes Tulip, okay? I've been pondering this in the split seconds that we've been talking later on. And I said, oh, this might be what it is, Self.
And Self said,
if I were God, how do you make Jesse stop messing with you, Dan?
I'm all ears, man.
If I'm God, I can create a torturous cage, put Tulip in it, and say, if you ever come after me again, I will retract this cage that will squish her. I could do that. Or I can say, Tulip is in a beautiful place right now. I can show you a mirror image of her and what she's doing. She's enjoying life. You chase me, I will kill her and burn her to the floor at this very second. Or, do you see how many different possibilities of holding Tulip hostage he can do to say, Jesse?
Infinite possibilities.
Leave me the deuce alone. But he won't, because he needs something from her, G. And I don't know what it is.
I don't know if we're ever going to... You think that they're going to come back around to that?
They have to. Because either that or they're assuming we're not going to think of other possibilities that God did. God already thought. He's like, yeah, I could just hold her. I could literally put her in a beautiful, wonderful, amazing beach and put Jesse on that beach and say, Jesse, if you ever come after me again, she is going to incinerate at the very second. Jesse will never come after God again. He'll be like, okay, we'll live life wonderfully. Grandma's dead. Everything's fine. But he doesn't because he needs Tulip for something.
That's interesting. I kind of want to know what the listeners think about that one. Again, I know it's the last show.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it to you one more time. askthewordpodcast@gmail.com or heroesofnoise@gmail.com. I want to know what you guys think about that. Does God want something from Tulip? And if he does, what do you think it is?
Good question.
Because I've got nothing, and I'm kind of curious now.
Yeah, because I'm like, if I thought about that plan, God has.
You're very similar.
In the great words of Satan, we are in sync. What did he say? We are. He said, wow, we're in sync or something?
Synergy, baby.
Synergy, baby. Okay. Can we take a moment of silence for Satan?
Let's do it.
I mean, oh my gosh, what a job he did. I hate that he's gone. Wait a minute. But those things, oh wait, keep going.
Oh, you want me to continue now?
Yes, I forgot because there's things that come out of his head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wasn't even sure if I said that part or not, but because we started talking. But yes,
he might
Satan.
not be dead.
No, he's dead. I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Gee!
But here's why. Hold on. Because I'm curious what you think about this. So, to go back just a little bit, Satan gets shot in the head by the saint. He falls to the floor, and these bats all come flying out of his head. He's just staring off into nothing. So I really do feel that he's dead. And what I liked about this, do you need to like jump in before I go into this whole thing?
No.
Okay. Well, what ends up happening is that Sydney's like, you can't do that. And the saint says, the rules have changed. Like, bitch, got you. And then looks at Eugene, and he says, you were right. You don't belong here. Let's go. And that's when Hitler, this is what I was getting at, who's been quiet the whole time, just kind of watching everything. He's like, good idea, let's go. And the saint says, just him, not you. So they leave Hitler in the office with Sydney, and she just automatically just goes, plum cake, sir. So this is why I don't think Satan's going to come back. I think that she just, like, it was without really any words outside of plum cake, sir, when he tells her, yes, extra flaky crust. He sits down at the desk. He is now essentially Satan, right? He is now the ruler of the underworld.
And there's a reason that he also sees at the top of his list, top of his desk,
Jesse Custer.
Jesse Custer's agreement with Satan.
Yeah.
That agreement didn't technically go null and void.
That's what I was going to ask you. Literally those words. Is it now make it null and void?
Someone is now in that chair.
I'm coming for you, Jesse Custer.
Gee, Satan's not dead, bruh. What are the bats then? If the bats are alive inside him, he just has random bats?
No, maybe that was like a symbol of his life force being drained out.
Exactly, but if it goes somewhere, it can't go anywhere. It has to stay in hell. I think he comes back.
Could be. I mean, he's Satan.
He's Satan. He can't die. Well, then again, the rules are whoever you point this gun at is dead.
Look, he dies in the comic, so I think he's dead.
He's too good.
He is great.
He's too good.
He's fantastic, but we just watched 3 other fantastic people go away like that. Like Thanos took him out. You know what I mean?
Bruh, he's coming back.
Okay. I'll put it this way. If he comes back, I will welcome that, but I am very far on the corner of or in the corner that he's not coming back. Because I like that they paid tribute to the comic this way.
No, that's real. But you know what this means?
What's that?
This means that there is, other than God, who is the most powerful person walking the earth now?
Saint of Killers.
Yes! This is a game changer, dog. He is the most powerful person walking the earth, and he knows it. That is some ill. And he has his sword and his gun, and he's going for Jesse. Come on, dog.
This is when it gets really good, man. We're about ready to go into it.
Oh, it's about to get some. And remember, Jesse thinks he's gone. So he's going to be using the word willy-nilly.
We're getting into Crusaders territory now, dude.
Oh, dude. And here's the thing. Tulip's going to be like, oh, by the way, that little saint guy that you thought you had gotten rid of, not so much.
Still kicking.
Oh, man, it's going to be so good. Oh, it's going to, and Jesse's going to look at her like, wait. Jesse might, at this point, though, Jesse might look at her and be like, of course. I mean, why wouldn't he be kicking? Because that's how things are going right now. You know, as soon as one thing gets handled, there is something else.
I think they're going to get a lot of FaceTime together next season.
Oh, you think so?
It's going to go back to the chase again. Even though the chase was there, dude. You know, the Saint was occupied this time around. I think he's going to get his mind back on the chase. Oh,
for sure. And the thing is, here's next season is going to be the season where they find a universal enemy in Hairstar.
Yep.
Because Hairstar only gets in the way getting Jesse. And Saint is like, dude. Why you like, okay, I don't want to ruin it for people, but it's like Hairstar isn't the Saint's enemy immediately. Hairstar just has a gift of becoming people's enemies. He has a knack for it. And so he's going to do that thing next year.
Man, I'm going to have to go back and read that whole arc again because there's a lot going on in this part.
There's a whole lot.
There's so much going on.
There was a huge buildup to the desert sequence. Remember, they trickarooed him into being there.
Yep.
And the thing is, oh man, I'm not going to ruin it for folks, but if you guys want to see the dopest panels almost but Thor had some good ones too. All right, some of the dopest panels in comic book history, in my opinion, mind you, I haven't read like, oh, but you haven't seen 1948's no, I haven't read all that. But in the last few decades, watch the panels with Hairstar against the Saint in the desert.
Woo! There's so much potential to just be so dope this next season, dude. I'm getting excited talking about it.
Like he did the equivalent of Luke's dirt off your shoulder.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
He did it. Now, okay, people, this is the most tangential thing ever, but it's going to take 2 minutes. Dan, are we to assume in the Star Wars universe, Jay-Z has a song called Dirt Off Your Shoulder?
Sure.
It has to because Luke, he did it. And so in order to have done that, that means he heard the song.
I don't think that Jay-Z came up with Dirt Off Your Shoulder, though. I mean, like, I know he has the song, but I don't think he came up with the freaking phrase.
I do believe he did. Like, that little dusting the dirt off your shoulder became a thing. Remember, he had that song, then Obama did it, and it became a thing.
I think that you're going to have to, I'm challenging you to go to Google and find this one out.
Gee, dirt off your shoulder.
They fire all those guns off at the Saint, man, and all of a sudden...
Gee, come on, bro.
Turn the music up in the headphones.
Come on.
Tim, you can go.
I can't turn it off. I was trying to turn it off and it wouldn't let me turn it off.
Here's the funny thing. If you make a video with all the panels of the Saint getting up from trying to get killed and have that song behind it, that YouTube video will get like 1 million in 3 weeks. But yeah, anyway, off the tangent.
Big one. That was a big one.
Here's the big thing. That's what she said.
You had that one coming.
I think you purposely say things that just because you say the most obvious that's what she says things. She's like, you're like, man, that thing is long and dark. Like, gee, why are we
it's so veiny. That thing is so veiny.
Exactly. I'm like, we're talking about Saint. What are we talking about? This now let me tell you, this storyline is deep and wet. That's what this is. I'm like, gee, I can't do it anymore. I just can't.
I promised you I don't set you up, man.
Jesus.
I think you just have a dirty mind, man. That's it.
No, gee, you say stuff.
You find filth in my pure thoughts.
That's not true. That is untrue. But
I don't really set you up, though. But maybe I shall. And then I can plan my sound effects.
There we go. But I have a question.
Minute 29 and 30 seconds.
How sure are you? Like, are you 90% sure, 100% sure that Satan is dead?
I would say I am 96% sure. There's always the chance. They can write anything they want, man. But I'm going off of my love for the comics and how the story, stayed pretty similar, even though there was those variations. I think that he's dead.
Well, that's heartbreaking.
He's gone. I would much rather have him dead than to see like TC go. Or, oh man, I don't even want to talk about this next one.
Gee. And here's the thing: I love how Eugene in the next scene he becomes a little dark.
Yes, I was getting to that. Yeah,
go for it.
So this is great. This excites me a lot, especially for season 4, because I now think that we may get our Dark Rider. As Santa Killers and Eugene are walking back to that hell elevator, Eugene's pissed off and he's like, "Jesse, he's still alive? The preacher that sent me here? The preacher that left me here?
Man,
I'm going with you." And we now have Angry Arseface for season 4.
Yep.
It's happening.
Yep.
It's going to happen. That's fantastic. And I bet you, and good for Ian Coletti too, because, he's been great. You're on Preacher. That's fantastic. I'm sure he enjoys himself, but he's put in work and he's had just little story arcs. You know what I mean? Even though he was all the way through last season with the whole prison thing, like now I think season 4 is going to be the time to really let him shine and see what he can do. Because I can't wait to see Angry Arseface.
Yes.
We're going back to Angelville one last time. Angelville's burning in the background, and we pass over the trees. We can see the smoke coming out, and Jesse's standing there at its gates. Tulip pulls up, and she asks Jesse if he's okay, and he tells her, "Family's overrated." She asks him, "Ready?" He says, "Ready," and they pill out, and they leave Angelville behind forever. And that's the last that we're going to see of them this season, you guys. But something better comes now. This is the part that excites the shit out of me. So, guys, we have finally made it to Masada. It's confirmed. We see Cass sitting down in a pit, and if you've read the comic, you know what this is. But we get the confirmation because Masada, flashes across the screen. Hit my mic, sorry about that. And Cassidy sits at the bottom of the pit singing to himself, like I said, but he looks up to, again, the light above, and he's shocked because there's a freaking Seraphy angel suspended in chains above him, just like the book.
Oh,
yeah. Come on, man, come on. This is the good shit right here. So I'm so excited about this. How can they put all of these... I guess what I'm trying to say is, how could they go this hard without knowing that they're going to get a season 4? That's going hard right there.
That's crazy.
What I'm saying? You don't go that hard. It usually
you have to see what happens with the Seraphim.
You have to see what happens, man. There's so much that's going to happen right now. But I'll get to that.
The weird part is this happens fairly early in the comics, if I'm not mistaken.
Early enough.
So the fact that they're doing this now shows, we have a lot of leg room.
There's a lot that
could come out. Yes, dude. And there's going to be a really interesting story that Cass is now going to hear that he doesn't know. Neither does freaking Jesse. Cass is going to know more about Genesis than Jesse does. And I think Cass is going to be able to say, "Jesse, what's inside you is no joke." That's what she said. But it's no joke.
That's what he said. I guess she could have said it too,
Yeah. And the thing is, he's going to be like, "Dude, I don't think Jesse knows how serious this is." And Cass is going to be the one to tell him, "This is what's going on, bro. This is it." Like, Jesse thinks, "Yay, Genesis is mine." Whereas Cassidy's going to be able to tell him, no, your Genesis's. That's how this goes. Genesis ain't yours. You belong to Genesis now.
Yeah.
That's scary, dog.
Simple host, man. That's it.
And when he sees the Seraphim, he's going to be able to wait, something even more powerful than that is in my stomach right now. Gee, next season is going to be crazy. But anyway, go for it.
You guys need to seriously, if you have gotten this far and you haven't read,
dude,
you have got to read. Angelville was an amazing story arc. Probably my favorite, to be honest with you. But this next shit that's coming up, guys, bruh, it's about to be so good.
Let alone the cannibals. And it sounds like the way that they're doing things right now, I would, after the booty hole thing, they might do it.
The great booty hole incident of 2018.
Yes, they might do it, Jay.
I don't think that they would hold back on something like that.
Oh, dude,
they would take something away from Star without question. No problem whatsoever.
Yes. Totally.
Hey, I do want to point out too that they still could put in Jesus Desaad. Like it's not that. For sure. Yeah, it's a little like out of order, but they still could. This is the point where it's kind of happening. It happens afterwards. The Masada stuff happens after, but they could. It's like an in between kind of thing. They could totally do this.
Yes,
and they should.
Agreed.
So that's what I'm going for. That's who I want next season. I want Jesus Desaad.
Agreed. I want Satan.
I know you do, you freaking weirdo. No, you really think he's going to come back, dude? You really think so?
I'm hoping, but maybe not. It doesn't say. It's smelling like it's not going to happen.
For your sake and your happiness, Steve, because you're my friend, I hope he comes back. But as your friend, I don't think it's going to happen. I have to tell you that,
dude.
All right, back to Masada. We're almost done, you guys. So check this out. This is a great scene, very quick, but sad to me. We find Hairstar and Hoover standing on this cliffside balcony. Like the Masada is built into this mountain. And they're standing there and they're looking at everything. Star's just all pimped out. He's got like his Grail battle gear on. And Hoover's standing there in his suit, but he's got that stupid umbrella hat on. Now, I think things are going to happen next season. And I'm hoping I'm right about this. So Hoover comes out and he tells Star that Cassidy's resting peacefully. And he's like, not for long. My favorite torturer is flying in from Bensonhurst. And Hoover acknowledges right away that it's Frankie Toscani. So we're going to get the eunuch next season too. They can't go away.
Hoover does not like this.
No, he's not happy about that at all. Star asks Hoover if he's wearing the umbrella hat to mock him. But Hoover reminds him that he's now a vampire. And Star says, I thought you were joking. Hoover says, no, but I assure you that this will not interfere with my performance. But before he can get performance out, Star turns around. Now, I don't know what to think about this, but Star turns around and he knocks the umbrella hat off of Hoover. And Hoover fucking engulfs in flames and falls to the floor and dies.
A terrible anticlimactic death.
Yes, thank you. But see, I think they're pulling one on us here, man. Because I think that if they were going to take him out, there would have been more emotion to it. You know what I mean? Everyone that's gone so far that's worth a damn, they go out in some like scene where, you know, whatever, maybe not a hero, but they go out and it's like the scene is focused on him. This was just like your buddy flipping your hat off of your head. No shit. And you die. Like it was.
I want to give that the possibility. I don't think so. I think it's over.
Well, this is what I think is going to happen.
Okay, go for it.
So as he falls and he dies and you can hear him like, ah, and you know, crackling on the floor, basically. Featherstone walks out. She's like, what happened here, sir? And Star tells her, he says, we will be needing another Hoover. And she looks down and she says, I'll look into that. Something tells me, this is my theory. They have the capability of cloning because they cloned a whole bunch of humperdoos, right? So it could kind of fix the whole vampire issue. It would be it would be silly. It'd be an eye-rolling kind of thing. But they technically could fix that whole vampire issue by getting them literally a new, like Featherstone gives him exactly what he wants all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And he asked her, he says, like, we need another Hoover. I think Featherstone's going to find a way to get Hoover cloned and everything's back to normal again. There's no more vampire issue and the show goes on. Now, right now, Malcolm Barrett is in Canada filming The Boys. Okay, so some people are going to go, well, he's filming The Boys now. He's just doing The Boys now. But he's still linked in with Seth Rogen. This could totally happen. They're not going to start filming Preacher until I think it's like January of 2019, if they do, in fact, renew it, which I still think they're going to. I think they're going to bring Malcolm Barrett back. They better fucking bring Malcolm Barrett back. Because that was just fucking whack how they killed him.
He might. I mean, if all we know, he might have asked to leave for a
This
Boys.
This is true.
He might have been like, I want to be there. And so they're like, okay, if you want to be on The Boys, let's do it.
I don't know, though. I remember that they were saying that they were, when I was talking to them, they were saying that they were reading the lines. And sometimes they would read stuff and they'd be like, can you believe this is happening? I don't know they were aware of that.
Well, the thing is, how are they going to get DNA from him if he's now dust?
Because it's TV magic. Seriously.
Gee, it's over. It is over, Doc. That's way more over than Satan.
So then they're just going to bring in another person.
That's it. Because remember, he said, we need another him. Like, he didn't know even what he did.
He said, we need another Hoover. And she looked at him and she says, I'll look into it, sir.
It's over.
Okay.
It's over, Doc.
Can I make a bet with you?
Go for it.
Like a real bet, even though we're not shaking hands?
Done.
I'll bet you $20 that he comes back.
I will bet you. I'll make it better. I will bet you. Yeah, $20. I'm about to say a Starbucks drink of my choice. That's what I want. I don't want $20. I want a Starbucks.
Okay, all right. Fine. I like money better, but sure.
I love my Starbucks.
But if I take the Starbucks, I just drink black coffee, so you get off easy. I think that's why you're doing it.
I get off easy? Do you purposely say things like this?
Dude,
like, G, what is going on? Like, literally, are you just trying?
You're going to let everyone know you get off easy?
G, I don't understand. I mean, like, that just proves you purposely do the that's what she said stuff.
I do not. I'm just talking to you.
G,
you just have a filthy. You have a filthy yet innocent mind.
That's not true.
It's so true.
You say the most random things.
I didn't even think about that though. Like I'm just. Here's another email for us. Is Steve fucking with me? Do you guys think I'm setting him up? Because I'm really not. I've got a soundboard that I could use at my advantage. To my advantage.
Okay, people, please. All right, number one, send in your emails and tell us, A, does he set me up? And B, how many times have you said on your side of the listening situation, that's what she said when I missed it? How many times have you said it and be like, oh yeah, with old Dan, of course he's going to say something off the wall.
I swear to God I'm not, but okay, sure. Send those emails in because I want to know.
Yes. But here's what I will say. Hoover is way less likely to come back than Satan is. Way less likely.
I don't see that at all.
Gee, Satan is he's a supernatural being. Something came out of his head. Hoover was burnt to a crisp and is not supernatural. Well, he was technically. But he was burnt to a crisp. It's over.
And I'm telling you that Hair Star said, we need a new Hoover. And Featherstone looked at that pile of ashes, contemplated for a second, and now I'm thinking like Featherstone. She wants to give him exactly what he wants. And she says, I'll look into it, sir. You bet your ass that she's going to find a way to bring him back.
He might not be Ash.
Technically, he was still like,
yeah, they might bring him in and be like, we don't need a new Hoover. We can just, because I don't even know why did he kill him because he didn't want a vampire on squad or just for fun?
He just hated because he goes, idiot. After he did, he goes, idiot. No, he just hates Hoover. That's how.
So why would he get another Hoover then?
I don't know, but that's what he said.
I know he's saying he needs another person, but smarter.
He didn't say we need another, another Grail agent. But we need another partner for you. He said we need another Hoover.
Do you think how mad he'll be if he sees Hoover again?
Yes, and that's what's the beauty of it, dude. That's exactly it. Because when she brings back the Hoover, here you go, sir. Just like you asked. Flufferman. I did not mean literally. You know what I mean? That's
no,
comedy.
But he'll just shoot him in his head. He'll be like, give me somebody else.
Okay, boom. She shoots him. I thought you might do that, sir. So I have another one for you. Hello, sir. Right. He pops back up.
Come on,
come on, dude. They made 100 humperdoos.
I want him there too. But here's the thing. I think he could come back if like the boys don't get another season.
Yeah,
he could come back. But I think if the boys do what I think the boys are going to do, it's over, dude.
But we don't even know if he has a major part. He could just be. He could just have he could just be like a character that's in a couple of episodes or something like that.
That's very true.
Yeah. So I even looked on IMDb to find out, and he's not listed there. That doesn't mean anything, of course. Because they're still assembling the cast, but it could just be like I did a couple of scenes in season 1. That was it, kind of.
That's true.
Hoover's coming back. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen.
There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
All right, I'm going to finish up real quick because we're almost there. After Featherstone tells him that she's going to look into getting him another Hoover, it's happening. She asks Star if he thinks that it's going to happen. You'll see. She asks Star if he thinks that it'll be tricky getting Jesse to be their Messiah again. And Star tells her that he doesn't want that. Featherstone asks why, if they're, why are we waiting for him then? Because that's what they're doing next. They're standing at the balcony of Masada waiting for the arrival of Jesse Custer. Yes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't really touch on that, right? Like Jesse just says, you ready? She says you're ready, and they just take off. They didn't say they were going to find Cass, but I guess they'll work that out next season. But they're all waiting there. So I don't know if there's been like a time lapse or something like that, but that's what's going on. Star says he has other plans, though. He says that Jesse has humiliated him for the last time, and he plans to torture him in the most horrible ways ever imagined. Then he's going to kill him. Featherstone says, I love it. The great chess match for world domination continues. They start to put on their soundproof headphones. So something's going on at that time. Like they're getting ready for something because maybe that's when they see Jesse coming because they do put the headphones on. And he says, I'm tired of chess matches, Flufferman. It's time to play some fucking checkers, which was awesome. The camera pans out and all the Masada exterior is revealed. You see all the soldiers lined up. You see jets flying past and helicopters are hovering. That shit looked dope. That was a great ending. That was a great episode. That was a great season. Ladies and gentlemen, we have completed season 3 of The Word. Give yourself a round of applause for sticking with us, ladies and gentlemen. Because you fucking deserve it. You put in the good work on that one.
We've been doing it for 3 years, Jake.
It's like 3 seasons. It's like 2.5 years. But yes, I know. I was thinking about that the other day, dude.
That's
it's
crazy.
Yeah, we started in 16.
That is insane, G.
Hey, man, I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else, man. I am.
Neither would I.
Seriously, dude. Love you.
It was a I mean, look, this season, though, was the funnest. It's the most fun I've had doing a season of The Word.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was so good.
Every episode was a blast. Even the ones that were a little bit, on the lower scale of fun, like we said before, were better than anything that they put out so far. This entire season killed it.
They have to renew it.
They're gonna renew it. I'm not even worried about it. Do you hear worry in my voice at all?
I don't hear worry.
Yeah.
But I think I'm only worried because I've seen shows canceled that I loved before.
Here's an idea. I don't even want to say it. But let's say that it doesn't go the way that I want it to go. All of the, I believe they're called clock blockers, if I'm not mistaken. All of the clock blocker fans, the timeless fans, all got together and just petitioned and petitioned and petitioned. And what did they do? They didn't bring back the show, but they did, in fact, and they did leave it on a cliffhanger for that matter, but they did, in fact, make a 2-hour movie that's coming out. So we can get some kind of closure if something happens.
That's true. That's actually very true.
I would be down with that, but I still want a series. I'm ready to see seasons 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to see this thing go all the way to the end. And, I've waited 20 years for it, 22 years, whatever it is for it now. It can't stop, dude. Can't do it. You hear me, AMC? Don't piss me off.
People, what an excellent season. A matter of fact, please write in telling us how much you loved the season, what you liked, what you're looking forward to next season, what you'd like to see next season, and which deaths on this episode bothered you the most. Let us know these things because I know mine is, unfortunately, Malcolm Barrett has no business dying in this show.
Nope.
No business dying in this show. Satan had no business dying in this show. So those are my 2. I want to hear y'all's.
I want to see, I want to know what the predictions are, guys. Bring them in. Crazy, just act like it's not going to happen stuff. I want to know how creative you guys can get with this. But for the real, will we get season 4? Will Hoover come back? That's what I want to know. Satan, I don't think's coming back, guys, but we'll see, Steve.
Boo, brother. That is the season 3 finale, brother.
Little sad, wouldn't you say?
I am, but we're going to be seeing you. If you want to hear Dan's amazing tones yet again, we're going to be back next weekend on a little thing called the Heroes of Noise.
Yeah. Finally back to it.
Yes, where our tangents are even more tangential.
so much more.
It is so much more tangential. But people, if you want to hear us again, go there. People, we love you. Can't wait to see you next time. Season 4 coming up when it comes. I promise you it's coming. We love you. And the last voice you're going to hear is mine. On to my boy Dan. Peace out.
This is the part where I get sad, guys. Seriously, this is hard on me, man. I don't know. It's weird. I love this show. I love The Word. It's something that Steve and I created. And we would be so happy if you'd come along for the ride. Check out the Heroes of Noise. If you haven't heard us before, or maybe you're just starting to listen to our shows from this one, tell a friend, come along. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do shit I don't know. It's going to be a big year for us. I guarantee you. And whenever I say that shit comes true. So guys, on behalf of Steve and myself, one last time, Steve, should I say it?
Handle it, bro. Handle it.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye, everyone. See you next season.